a stronger sense of spiritual connection. When our bodies met, there was an immediate sense of familiarity and comfort that just washed over me. I think it was the most meaningful experience of my life.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
And we're back.
It's the Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live.
It is.
FreeTalkLive.com is the website. If you have no idea what the show's about or what we do, or you just tuned in, you turned on a radio in a rental car or something, and
We're sorry Sunday's the first one you hear.
we're sorry, and you're welcome.
And you're welcome.
Yes, both at the same time. We are a live call-in radio program, and that means, well, there's a phone number that you might want to jot down or tell your AI to memorize or ask Siri to dial for you, or what are
Alexa, call Free Talk Live.
Ooh.
Okay, what is the number?
603-283-6160.
Calling Free Talk Live now. So that's what you're supposed to do if you're listening to this. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the authentic Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass Buckshot Esquire, if you will. Joining me.
It's Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
And what is the star date? I'm on the wrong screen. What the hell's going on? Who's running this thing anyway? Producers, damn it.
No producers.
I tell them to have me set up and ready for the show when I get here.
Produce on the fly.
But they just can't follow instructions.
We'll fix it in post.
They also tainted my bowl of just green M&Ms by throwing some red ones in there.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, it ain't Christmas, yo. So, yeah, I was a little upset with that. I'm going to have to talk to my agent. Stardate 06112023. Captain's log.
Okay.
That's what they found in the toilet of the Starship Enterprise.
There you go.
The captain's log. Speaking of which, we do have a new number 2 story tonight.
A number 2 story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll be coming up a bit later, but it is certainly destined to be a number 2 story here on Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition.
Unless you call in and entertain us for the next
you can
two
be
and a half hours or so.
interesting and entertaining. We might not get around to it.
It's happened before.
And
Has.
it'll happen
Yeah,
again.
and it will happen again. It's your choice. Do you want us to talk about the number 2 story later? Or do you want to talk about what you want to talk about by calling that number?
I mean,
Or-
those are always the best shows when we don't get to any of the show prep and people just call in with really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we want, man.
Yeah.
It's Free Talk Live.
It is Sunday, however, and prior to me, being welcomed into the fold here at Free Talk Live, I used to have a podcast called the Kick-Ass Podcast. Pretty deep underground podcast. We never achieved fame as some podcasts do, mostly because I'm not a hot girl showing off online all the time and, attracting
that's the number
viewers.
2 podcast, right? Like,
Yeah.
Joe Rogan is still number 1.
Yeah.
And number 2, some chick.
I'm also not a short former television star comedian, so Joe Rogan's got that going for him, which is nice for him.
I think my first Joe Rogan experience was the news radio.
News radio, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like the tech guy.
Yeah.
He would like fix the radio studio
Right.
and do all the wiring. This is before like real.
I didn't
high-tech
know
and-
about this.
Yeah, news radio
should-
with Phil Hartman and
Well, that's new to
Andy
me.
Dick.
Andy Dick. Who's the guy from?
I forget it. Dave something or
Dave. Oh God, what's his name?
The
Anyway.
guy, the guy,
Yeah,
the
from-
dude.
from Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
That's not going to help me at all.
She's too young.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, like my favorite.
Star-studded cast.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite clip of news radio was like the Buttafuoco episode.
Yeah. Andy Dick had been put on. He like begged to get on air, and so they put him on air, and he mispronounced Buttafuoco.
But they didn't say it, right? They just came off the air and they look at him. They're like, "Hey,
It's
it's Buttafuoco."
yeah. And
What
he's
did I
like,
say?
What did I say?
Think about it. You didn't say that. Oh, and it's like a running joke through the whole episode. It's great.
They really like. Sometimes a show will do a running joke and they'll just get carried, and you'll be like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah,
but they do
enough
it,
of that.
They do it tastefully and spectacularly during that particular episode. It's a good episode.
Yeah.
So it is Sunday, and the Kick-Ass podcast, the first couple of episodes, which I can't even find them online anymore.
Oh, no.
They're out there somewhere.
That's like super underground.
Yeah, somebody somewhere downloaded the first, 2 or 3 episodes. It might have been as many as 5, I think, that I put out. But the first, several episodes of the Kick-Ass podcast were what I called Kick-Ass sermons.
Okay.
Right? And it's just me ranting about, some anti-government or some societal thing.
Kind of like what we do here.
So it wasn't too different.
Sunday sermon.
It wasn't too different from here. And I would always publish them on Sundays and that kind of a thing. So it just sort of made sense. And being a Reverend Captain Kick-Ass kind of a thing, it all just sort of played into it. So with that being said, here I am now doing Sundays on Free Talk Live and have been for, I don't even know how long right now, but it's been a while. I thought that, let's sort of return to form here with an article from the AP, of all places, the big daddy of the news releases, at least. Can a chatbot preach a good sermon?
I mean, it's got access to all the information.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think it could preach a better sermon than,
Hallelujah! Or AI-lelujah.
Nice. AI men.
AI men, yes. AI men. Right? Everybody has to sing sort of out of tune.
So here I'm a Reformed Catholic. Like I was baptized, confirmed, went to Catholic school.
So that just means you don't drink alcohol.
No, it just means he's not going to go to hell.
That's independently
I
true.
see.
Well,
Okay.
no, maybe now because I'm not anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But here's what I learned early on. They taught this to be too early in Catholic school. Right. They said, in second grade, when you're in Catholic school, you learn about the Catholic Mass. Right. And they said it's on a rotating 3-year calendar. Right.
Okay.
So all the readings from the Bible that they talk about in Mass runs for 3 years and then it restarts.
Okay. So it's like a whole bunch of subjects that they can cover with their sermons, and then every 3 years the list starts over. I got
Right.
you. Okay.
And so I went, well, I've been to church for 3 years already. I don't really need to go anymore.
I've heard it all.
I've heard it all. Exactly. And that was my attitude from like second grade on.
Yeah.
And eventually I just stopped going completely and gave it all up. But,
Not unlike most Catholics.
right. I didn't say I was good. I didn't say, I'm not abnormal.
Well,
Hey, you made it farther than I did.
And it's
Okay.
it's what is a good Catholic, right? Well, there is no criteria if you don't care what a good Catholic is, right? There's no criteria that could possibly make you a good Catholic if you're just like, I don't even care.
well,
right?
I mean, get married, tithe, and have an abundance of children.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
Catholic people,
Sure. Whatever.
right? Catholic people? That's weird. I use that word strangely. At any rate, the Catholics will each independently have their own idea of what makes a good Catholic. Now, within that, there's probably going to be some core stuff like, do you go to church every Sunday? Do you go to confession? Do you drink the wine?
That's all the protocol stuff.
Yeah. Do you get drunk on every other day of the week? These are things that makes a good Catholic.
Easter Mass and Christmas Mass always more packed than normal Sunday Mass.
Right. Yeah. On the holidays, are you especially likely to go?
Yeah.
So this article asks the question, can a chatbot preach a good sermon? Hundreds attend church service generated by ChatGPT to find out.
All right.
So now this, of course, sparks my imagination. I'm like, oh, my God. No pun intended. Oh, my God. I can just see now there's going to be a an AI religion that's going to spawn out of this thing. People are going to begin to worship the AI. There's going to be an AI cult, an AI religion. But I repeat myself.
Transhumanist, maybe.
And like they are going to worship AI as their god.
Okay.
That's going to be their deity. Now, what kind of holiday do you get when you worship AI, if any?
That's a good question.
Like, do you get like, the
whatever
day
the AI says.
the day Microsoft went IPO or something?
The singularity.
The singularity, whenever that kicks off, that's going to be their national
That'll
holiday.
That'll be the first one.
Or global, intergalactic holiday, whatever.
Independence Day.
Independence Day. Would you, like, I'm not religious, and I stopped going to church services well before I became unreligious, so to speak. That is to say, I don't claim to belong to any religion. I used to claim atheism, and I still kind of do, depending on my feeling on that day. But I think the reality is I lean more towards agnostic, and I say that because of the whole bit where I'm like, you know what? I don't know everything, and far be it from me to know all of the things that are that exist in the universe. And I've seen some weird crap happen from time to time, and I can't explain all of the things on planet Earth. So, like, it's totally possible that there's something else that exists, and that kind of thing. I'm not so arrogant that I say no, it's just completely unreal. Like, there might be something. What I don't like is what most dogmatic religions tend to do, and that's use their cult of religion as a control mechanism for human behavior.
Yeah, they weaponize it.
Yeah.
Not cool.
And also, what's the word I'm looking for? Monetize it.
Yeah.
Weaponize, monetize. Those are the two things that religions do. And if you need evidence of this, and I mentioned this last night on Beard Talk Live, just look to Scientology.
Oh, yeah. That's the perfect one.
Yeah.
Right? Sci-fi writer starts religion because that's where the money is.
And I don't want to say pick on. I mention Scientology frequently because prior to Scientology, I'm older than Scientology, mind you. Prior to Scientology, I was alive. And I just thought that, all of the religions that are going to exist already.
Yeah.
I was ill prepared for there to be, the dawn of a new religion, set upon mankind. And there have been other religions since then, but none of them have achieved sort of the spectacle that Scientology has achieved.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this is weird. And so I would examine it more closely because I'm like, well, how does this happen? How does this phenomena of a new human religion occur? And then you just start drawing parallels. You're like, oh, well, it's based on a book that some people wrote. What other religion does that resemble?
It's a sci-fi book.
And it's not necessarily the truth. It's been edited a bunch of times and, all this kind of stuff. So it's an interesting study in what religions can do. But, yeah, weaponize and monetize. I mean, Scientology became like the wealthiest religion next to Catholicism on planet Earth real quick like.
And if you're going to start your own religion, don't do it on a compound and get raided by the ATF because that's bad for business too.
Yeah. It's good advice.
Yep.
Good advice on a Sunday. So anyway, hundreds of people apparently attended this church service put on by ChatGPT. This occurred in Fürth, Germany. Fürth. It's like the Swedish chef.
Now we're going to get a German call.
Storgen.
Now we've done it.
Oh, you know how great Germany is? Yeah, it's really great. The artificial intelligence chatbot asked the believers in the fully packed St. Paul's Church in the Bavarian town of Fürth to rise from the pews and praise the Lord.
Oh.
So they did it in an actual church. I thought this was just going to be like a Zoom call or something.
So now it's just a lazy priest.
Yeah. Like, I don't have anything
really want
for
to
today.
write this thing.
He's too hungover from the wake the night before or something.
ChatGPT, can you prepare my sermon for tomorrow?
Sure, Dave.
Ooh.
It's a call back to 2001. The ChatGPT chatbot personified by an avatar of a bearded black man. At least he's got a beard, right?
I mean, that's important, right?
Personified by an avatar of a bearded black man on a huge screen above the altar, then began preaching to the more than 300 people who had shown up on Friday morning for an experimental Lutheran church service almost entirely generated by AI.
Nice.
Now, just the little bit that I know of Lutheran Church. Lutheran Church was the first church to break off from the Catholic Church as a Christian church.
Okay.
It was Martin Luther and his priest, Johann Bugenhagen, who were the two. Well, the priest was much older, so he was like a sort of a father figure to Martin Luther. At any rate, these guys broke off and they did weird things that have some similarity to sort of the freedom activism that happens here in New Hampshire from time to time.
Okay.
Like they would, sort of buck the trends and, do, I'm not going to call it civil disobedience, but religious disobedience. And they even went to great lengths of like nailing flyers to everyone's door. So they would like canvass these neighborhoods like late at night, overnight when they were sleeping, and they'd sneak up on doors and like put a piece of paper up and put a nail with a hammer in it real quick and then run away, ding dong ditch style. Right. So, yeah, weird stuff like that happened with the break-off of the Lutheran Church from Christianity. At any rate, it was a Lutheran sermon, and the quote here is, "Dear friends, it is an honor for me to stand here and preach to you as the first artificial intelligence at this year's conference or convention of Protestants in Germany." So, a couple problems with this.
Yeah, I already got that wrong.
AI is not standing anywhere. Can't. It's not possible unless it's embedded into a, some sort of a robotic thing, right? That can
the
actually
server's
stand.
not falling over.
I mean, it's probably a screen, right?
Okay.
Probably a projector screen.
I would have used a different word,
Hovering here before you.
Yeah.
Like the Lord Jesus himself. Oh.
The word Protestants is spelled Protestants, and that's literally what it means. That's where it came from. It's because these guys protested the Catholic Church and wanted to do things a different way, and so that's how that name sort of became.
They're forking the religions.
They did, but instead of pronouncing it Protestants, it's Protestants, so whatever.
But was that the AI, or was that whoever wrote this article? Or whoever transcribed whatever the AI said?
No, it's just common to human language. Humans pronounce it Protestants. It's just been that way for as long
But
as
it's
I've been alive.
spelled the same?
But it's spelled Protestants.
So is it spelled correctly or incorrectly?
It's spelled correctly.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm just
So then how do you know? Because you didn't hear it.
I'm just giving some etymology.
Oh, okay.
Of the
I
word.
thought that was a critique of a misspelling.
No. It's just giving a little background on the word itself.
Okay.
As far as I'm
English
concerned,
words that sound the same and are spelled differently.
If I'm wrong, please call 603-283-6160.
Or spelled the same and pronounced differently.
At any rate, the 40-minute service, including the sermon, prayers, and music, was created by ChatGPT and Jonas Simmerlein, the theologian and philosopher from the University of Vienna. I conceived this service, but I actually rather accompanied it because I would say about 98% comes from the machine, the 29-year-old scholar told the Associated Press. The AI church service was one of hundreds of events at the Convention of Protestants in the Bavarian town of Nuremberg and the neighboring Fürth, and it drew such immense interest that people formed a long queue outside of the 19th century neo-Gothic building an hour before it began. Okay, so now I've got visions of that movie Dogma.
Yep.
Right? Cardinal Glick giving his Catholicism wow speech, right? Anything to sort of revive the religion, right? Because religion's sort of at a crossroads.
Bringing in the youngins.
Yeah. The convention itself, Deutsch Evangelischer Kirchtag in German, takes place every 2 years in the summer at a different place in Germany and draws tens of thousands of believers to pray, sing, and discuss their faith. They also talk about current world affairs and look for solutions to key issues, which this year included global warming and the war in Ukraine.
Of course. What else would they talk about?
And artificial intelligence. Sorry, there was a dash and then a new line.
Got it.
Missed that part. So those were the three hot topics, apparently. This year's gathering is took place Wednesday through Sunday under the motto, "Now is the time." It's interesting that is their phrase. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what's known as hardcore heavy metal. This is it's heavy metal for all intents and purposes. It just usually doesn't have like a guitar solo. And it's got certain characteristics to it, like a breakdown, in the middle of it, and it's a little more rappy than it is singy. But it's usually yelling and not singing.
More screaming.
Yeah. Bands like Hatebreed and trying to remember some of the other ones. Hatebreed is Propane is one of the godfathers of hardcore. Biohazard also.
I've heard of them.
Okay. Sort of in that genre. And so me and a friend of mine were talking, and my friend was my former singer. We called him Genius because he was full of musical knowledge. Prior to being able to have the magic rectangle in your pocket, if you needed to know something musical, he'd be like, call the Genius. He'll know. Hey, man, what was the second album of this band that came out like in the mid-'80s? And he'd be like, oh, it was this. And you're like, oh, thanks, man. And then you hang up on him and go back.
Was this different from your Bus Stop Genius guy? Or?
Different. Yeah,
Different?
that was Captain Metro and Bus Boy.
All right.
This genius was musical genius, not bus genius.
Got it.
At any rate, we were talking about hardcore heavy metal, and we're like, doesn't it seem like there should be a hardcore heavy metal song called The Time Is Now? And so I actually wrote lyrics for one. I've never finished the song, but it goes, the time is now is the time, the most time that the now should be. Now is the time is now, the most now that the time could ever be. And so it's supposed to be a nonsensical lyric. That
I was going to say, if I was stoned, maybe that would sound deep.
And you can't understand what they're saying anyway, so it doesn't even matter what you say.
But the song is literally supposed to be about just the moment of writing the song and what's occurring now in that time, because so they've, bastardized this hardcore lyric for their church sermon, which I find interesting. At any rate, that slogan was one of the sentences of the Simmerline-fed ChatGPT when he asked the chatbot to develop the sermon. I told the artificial intelligence, we are at the church congress. You are a preacher. What would a church service look like? He also asked for psalms to be included, as well as prayers and a blessing at the end. You end up with a pretty solid church service, Simmerline said, sounding almost surprised by the success of his experiment. He just worked himself out of a job is what he did.
Yep.
You've been replaced by your own creation.
If only it was so easy to replace government. Oh, wait, but it's coming.
It is. No, it is.
It's coming.
It's easy.
Coming.
The replacing part is easy, right? It's the changing of people's minds that the replacement is better.
Yeah, the mechanisms already exist to replace the bureaucracy, and if there isn't a mechanism for it, it's on the way based on the technology curve of all the infrastructure that's been developed lately.
So this general idea, I think my mindset has changed over the years, right? I no longer care about the argument of like, well, it's going to be taxpayer funded. Why do you want the taxpayers to fund it? Right? And my answer is like, because I don't care about them anymore. Right? If you're too stupid to still be paying taxes, right? If you're so ingratiated into the system that you don't care that that's what they're using your money for and you're not going to do anything about it, well, then that's on you. Right? If you don't want them paying if you don't want to be paying your taxes for like immigrants or war or whatever, or LGBTQ stuff, right, then stop paying and shut up.
Right.
Like that's it.
Figure out ways to get around the system.
Figure out ways to get the ways are already out there. You don't even have to figure it out.
Yeah, that's true.
Just integrate into what already exists.
Yep.
And don't worry about it. And then, right, it'll take care of itself as less people start paying into that trash system.
603-283-6160. Would you attend an AI church service, or do you think people who pay taxes are stupid? It's Free Talk Live. Give us a call. More coming up.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at MPP.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow with the Week in Review. Donald Trump this week was charged over his alleged mishandling of classified documents after he left the White House. The twice impeached former US president, who's again running for the White House, faces 37 criminal counts including conspiracy, false statements, obstruction of justice, and illegally retaining classified documents under the Espionage Act. From Washington, D.C., Benji Hire reports.
It's his second indictment in as many months. This one could land him a prison sentence on conviction. In a post on Truth Social, Mr. Trump, protesting his innocence, said he'd been summoned to appear at a federal court in Miami, Florida on Tuesday afternoon. He'll be arrested there and hear the charges against him. What is this all about? Well, last year his Florida resort Mar-a-Lago was searched by the FBI and 11,000 documents were seized. They included around 100 marked as classified, some labelled top secret. A separate investigation into Joe Biden's handling of documents continues. Benji Hire, Washington, D.C.
The French president has condemned the stabbing attack in southeast France that took place on Thursday, leaving 4 children needing intensive care. Ross Cullen has the latest.
Emmanuel Macron said that attacking children was the most barbaric act there is. He was speaking on Friday after visiting Annecy, where an attack took place on Thursday as a man stabbed adults and children in and around a playground in the southeast city in France. The French president also met members of the public who tried to intervene to stop the attack, saying that he was extremely proud of their efforts.
A major dam was destroyed in Ukraine on Tuesday, triggering what the United Nations calls a humanitarian, economic and ecological catastrophe. Moscow and Kyiv blame each other, and heavy flooding has forced thousands to evacuate the region. Journalist Tom Much has visited the Kherson region and reports from Odessa.
The Ukrainian government is warning that the worst of the flooding is still to come, that there could be a higher water level coming in the next 2 or 3 days. Again, this is actually going to affect Russian-occupied areas even worse because they're on the lower bank of the river.
Heavy smoke from Canada's wildfires impacted millions of people across parts of North America this week. On Tuesday, New York's air quality was briefly ranked as the worst in the world, with officials urging residents to stay indoors. President Biden's announced that more than 600 US firefighters have been sent north to help Canadian authorities battle the blazes. More than 200 fires are burning out of control. And former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is stepping down as a Member of Parliament, following the release of the Partygate report. The inquiry was examining whether he misled Parliament over whether Downing Street broke COVID lockdown rules. Johnson says the report is an attempt to drive him out. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
And we are not AI. We are real people. We are talking to you on a radio program broadcast to over 180 radio stations nationwide, plus some satellite stations and online.
Go on.
I was talking like a robot, even though I'm not. And I was like, wait, that's weird.
That's tricky.
It's a bit of an oxymoron or a juxtaposition. Perhaps it's an oxymoronic juxtaposition.
It's definitely one of the two, because right now, again, the story that we're working on is a robot acting like a human preacher, right, giving a sermon.
That's true. And
they could talk like a human. We could talk like a robot. Just fair.
We'll talk more about that, but we have some calls to get to. We'll get there in just a second. In the studio, it's
Nikki
and Richie Rich.
The telephone number here, if you want to join us, is 603-283-6160.
Whoa, who are you?
I'm just some guy.
Okay. He's the dude.
I'm the Reverend Captain
Kick-Ass.
No, I'm definitely not the dude. No.
He doesn't even have a white Russian.
Speaking of religions.
Yeah.
Dudism.
Dudism, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I am the Reverend Captain Kick-Ass. Thank you, Nikki.
It's like the one movie I've seen.
Nice.
That and Dodgeball.
And I'll take both of those. Yeah,
you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah. I think they're making a sequel.
I hope so.
I heard, yeah.
I'm sure it'll be terrible.
Vince Vaughn's involved in it somehow, and Anyway, let's go to an unscreened caller. You are on Free Talk Live. What is your name, please?
My name is Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Told you.
Yeah, it's like we summoned you. It's
Nailed
weird.
it.
Were you calling in about the this church article about the Chat GPT?
Yes, in Germany, the Lutheran Church is called the Evangelische Kirche, and it's based in Wittenberg, which is where it started, and it's in one of the 4 provinces that out of which the Kingdom of Saxony originally came. The Kingdom of Saxony has its headquarters, or its capital, it has one of its capitals. That's the capital of Saxony in Dresden. Landeshauptstadt Dresden. Landeshauptstadt means state capital.
Okay,
that's a lot of words.
Yeah. Thank you for the the recap on the history there.
It's just etymology.
What I'm curious about is are you a religious man?
No.
Okay. And so I guess B would be my follow-up. Even though you're not religious, would you attend a church service that was performed by a AI chatbot?
Well, I'm half Christian and half Jewish. Actually, I used to go to Catholic. I went to Catholic schools, and then after that, I started going to synagogues. But I went to Catholic schools because.
Did you get beat by a penguin?
No, but on the other hand, it's better to be consistent. You know what I mean? I mean, in those days, anyhow. I mean, if you know, as a matter of fact, it was a mortal sin actually to go to a different church or to not come to church on Sunday. So, a mortal sin means if you burn in hell forever. If you
so if you didn't go to church, you would burn in hell forever?
That's correct. Just one Sunday would be enough to do it.
What a ridiculous proposition.
See, and I had a religion class in college because it was mandatory at the religious college that I went to.
Yeah.
And part of that class was you had to go to like 2 different styles of masses.
Yeah.
Just so you could compare and see what the other people were doing.
If you go to a mass in Massachusetts, do you attend a mass?
Yes.
Only if they shoot up the place.
Oh.
That's a mass shooting.
Oh, the wordplay is strong tonight on Free Talk Live. Anyway, go ahead, David. Or Robert, whatever your name is.
Yes.
Bob.
Hey, if you have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Anything else you want to know?
The Lutheran Church, the splinter of the Lutheran Church from the Catholic Church. Do you know any of that history?
Well, I know that Martin Luther wanted to marry a nun. That was I'm sure a strong.
You can't do that. That's
Well,
like the whole thing. That's literally their
religion.
thing. You know.
That's right.
They did. They forked the religion and created Lutheranism.
And the Catholic Church wanted to kill him, so they worked out a deal with Karl V. And when he was coming, they had a meeting with him in France, and they knew the route he was going to be taking through the forest to get back to Wittenberg, and they were going to kidnap him and kill him on the way. But Friedrich der Kluge, Frederick the clever one, he was king of Saxony, and he kidnapped Martin Luther first on the way, so that they never got that chance. And he put him in his fortress in Eisenach. They have a fortress there, and he kept him there for an extended period. He wanted to get out sooner, but Friedrich der Kluge wouldn't let him go because he was afraid that they might just kill him a little bit later. So he kept him there until he was pretty sure it was pretty safe for him to be let out. And that's in Eisenach, that fortress.
How insecure? And I'm not asking you this question, Robert, because you obviously won't know the answer to this. But how insecure must the Catholic Church have felt to be threatened by just even the notion of a fork of the religion?
Well, the Catholic Church was involved in the sale of indulgences, which means that you could buy the staircase to heaven literally if you had enough money, and they had prices for everything, even a divorce or something like that. It could become an annulment, and there were wealthy Catholics who bought those annulments, including President Kennedy. By the way, he was married before he was married to Jacqueline. Most people don't know that.
Scientology just follows the blueprint, man.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of these religions want every single person in the entire world to follow their religion. Like that was their, like the Crusades and all that. Right. That was their whole purpose, was to, murder everybody, rape everybody, and convert them to their religion.
I feel like the modern day religious people who don't like Islam because they're, violent and barbaric need to be reminded about the Crusades and the Inquisitions and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We're like, no, man. That's the blueprint.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Does he?
Well, the other thing that they did is they tried to steal the inheritances of from the children before they could get them. The Catholic Church,
like government does by basically having every child who's born be in debt to something like the tune of $100,000.
Or taking everything that's not in your will.
they would just grab it somehow, however they could get it. It didn't matter to them.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say all these things, because I often say that religion was the first government. It is, in fact, the blueprint for modern day governments. The only difference between religion and government is, of course, the separation of church and state, at least mostly.
Yes, the Pharisees in Israel were actually government officials in a kind of a way. I mean, the religion and the state were the same.
Right.
And the Pharisees are the ones that basically who wanted to get Jesus Christ executed because they considered him to be a pain in the neck. He wanted to be king of the universe, and that was more than just king of the Jews, and that really bothered them.
They sure showed him
the quest for the chair, right? Because I was talking about government as the chair being the problem, and the same thing happens in kingdom. But obviously also in religions. The precursor to modern government had the same problem. It was the psychopaths that seek out the power over other people, that use the organization to force other people to their preference. And if they don't like it, guess what? Death is coming for you.
Yes, and the other thing is he never hung on the cross. Actually, he had saved Pontius Pilate's son's life. My grandfather was Roman. You save a Roman's life or something like that, or his life, or his children's life, or his grandchildren's life, that you can be sure, as long as he has the last say, nothing bad is going to happen to you. And that's why I know Jesus Christ never hung on that cross. What they did is they found somebody else in another governor's province. They brought him to Israel, put him up on the cross, and say, that's him. And who was going to say, no, it isn't? The Pharisees didn't care. As long as they got rid of Jesus Christ, they didn't care. His mother was in the audience, and she certainly wasn't going to say, that's not my son hanging on the cross. You got the wrong guy. And so everybody was happy with it. And in actuality, Pontius Pilate sent him and his wife and their baby daughter. His wife was Mary Magdalene. They sent them to the southern coast of France, to Côte d'Azur, where he raised that family. Then he went to Japan, started another family out there, and there's a plaque out there in Japan someplace for him. And then he came back and died as an old man in Western Iran, and that's the truth.
There's no way to know
Japanese
that.
Theory. I've at least heard of the Japanese theory.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. But my mom, I'm the great-great-grandson of a Roman senator, and my mom...
So he knows the authority.
Well, my mom knew the nun who was in charge of the library, the secret library, and that woman wrote a book, by the way. It's not available in English because the Catholic Church suppressed it, but it is available in German, and the name of it is In der Hölle brennt kein Licht. I have a copy of it in Germany, but I don't have it with me here, and if you want to get it, you can get it in German and read it. In der Hölle brennt kein Licht, and there's a lot in there about what really happened. But the Catholic Church doesn't care if you find out, and the reason is because the Catholic Church knows that people are going to believe what they want to believe. In other words, they would tell you what I just told you is hooey. In other words, garbage. In other words, the untruth, because they have a certain script, and that's their holy script.
That script is the Bible, right? Like even Catholics know that there's more scripture than the Bible, right? And it's just like we don't recognize that. It was written. It's there. We take no credit for that. We've narrowed it down to just this, so pay attention to just this.
Yes, and both the Jewish side and the Christian side of my family both believe he never hung on that cross because they passed that knowledge down, and they tried to get rid of the people who knew about it. They tried and they had to go into hiding, but
government cover-up.
Went into hiding for 3 days and showed up like nothing else happened.
Yeah, so he gave up his weekend.
Yeah.
For your sins.
Well,
not even that. He didn't even die, according to Robert.
He didn't. He never died on the cross.
Yeah.
He never.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, that's more believable than resurrecting.
Yeah,
right?
and if I say he gave up his weekend for your sins, that's accurate to the theory that he didn't die.
And I will say this as well, right? Executing the wrong guy, right? Mistaken identity.
Yep, checks out.
More proof that Jesus was black.
Robert, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate you. 603-283-6160 if you would like to join us. Let's move on to some other calls. We've got Tim in Florida calling. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live.
This is Tim from Florida. I'm on Free Talk Live.
Yes, you are. That's what we just said.
Wow, it's like there's an echo in here.
You can say that again.
Wow, it's like there's an echo in here.
Say that again.
Hey, Tim from Florida.
It's
You're
like
on
there's
Free
an
Talk
echo
Live.
in here. Let's go to Tim from Florida. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live.
So as the great Bill O'Reilly often says, people believe.
Oh.
Yeah, don't say the other way. You can say the "we'll do it live" part, but don't say the part that comes immediately before that.
No. People believe what they want to believe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's That's what a belief is, right? Like a belief is something that you choose without evidence.
Yep. Faith.
And by the way, can you hear me okay? Because I am using speakerphone. I'm actually outside of my backyard, so there may be a little bit of wind. Let me know if it becomes inaudible, and I will switch back to regular phone.
So far, so good. We prefer regular phone, but you're all right for now.
All right. Well, I don't think religion was the first government. I think the state was the first religion.
How so?
Well, I mean,
because historically speaking, the organizations known as religion predate the organizations known as government.
And tribes had wise men, the shamans.
Well, I'm thinking specifically of Egypt, and even before Egypt and Israel. You also have what is it? Sumeria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I switched you off as speakerphone because I want to have a good call.
Sure, you sound good.
Be entertaining then.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, absolutely. But if you look at Pharaoh, for example, Pharaoh of Egypt, I mean that was considered to be a god, and he was the executive head of state. Same thing with Rome and the Caesars. And then, of course,
right.
Jesus
But even
Christ.
up until those times, the government and religion were the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think you're going far back enough in history to support the claim.
Well, I mean, the very first written law was actually before Hammurabi's Code. There was another one that starts with a U, and I can't remember it. So, which way did I argue? So maybe I am wrong. I said
you said the state precedes.
You sound confident.
You said the state precedes religion, and we are supposing that religion precedes the state, or
No, so I then in that case I stick by that because before Hammurabi's Code there was this other code. It starts with a U, and
right. And what I'm suggesting.
No, I'm wrong because it makes reference to a river god, and if you waste the state's time, they throw you in the river. So you are correct.
All right.
Yep.
Good place to end it.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the call, man. We appreciate you, Tim. 603-283-6160.
I will always leave an argument when my opponent declares.
You win. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, perfect.
I got to go. See ya. I mean, I can't imagine how the state would predate religion because it seems to me, tribes, prior to, or at least at the dawn of, beginning writing, right? Like, caveman drawings.
It predates.
On the wall.
It would predate even that, right? Because the tribes would have the leader that they would go to,
right?
And that was not a government,
right?
That was self-selected or voluntary. Like,
right?
We'll just follow that guy because he brings home the most meat,
right?
And then the shamans would come along. And,
he yells at the volcano and stuff like that.
Well, what
this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. The clouds have spoken to me, and it's going to rain tomorrow. Yeah.
That's always the religious claim too. That the deity has spoken to me. Here is what they've said. Really? Can I talk to him too? No.
Yeah,
he
that's the thing, right?
Speaks to me.
Like,
I have the sacred hat with the magic stone. You may not look into it.
I'm the one with the crazy voices in my head, not you. Okay?
Yeah, we should definitely believe this guy.
But they do.
You would
every
think,
time they do.
So you would think if God had something so important to say that he would just tell everybody.
No, talk to one guy with a burning bush, and that's it.
We can't be trusted with this knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
Allegedly.
Let's go to more of your calls. We've got Bata calling from Michigan. Major Payne, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening, folks.
Hey.
Yes. I think the only thing I'm buying out of this whole German hoorah that I just heard about was that Richard?
Robert.
That, the only believable part is that Martin Luther wanted to marry a nun. Okay?
Well, and Martin Luther was the founder of Lutheranism, which had to jump through an amazing amount of hoops to fork or splinter off from the Catholic Church. Those are facts as we know them.
Right. And he decided to do that just before King Henry VIII did the Protestant thing.
Right.
But the interesting thing is the Pope was so impressed because Henry VIII sent Martin Luther a letter condemning him for leaving the church and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pope got wind of it and made Henry VIII the high protector of the church.
So he got him stoned?
Right? And then what, 6 months, a year later, he decides he wants to whack his wife's head off so he can marry some other broad, and he decides he's gonna, instill the Protestant religion.
That sounds like a reasonable request. No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound reasonable.
I mean, when you have that
Anyway,
much power,
I got one for you.
here's the thing: when you have that much power and you still have to go to the church for permission,
right?
Yeah. It shows you where the power dynamic truly lies,
right? Yeah, and how the church really was a state,
right?
All through history, if a king wanted to wage war, he had to have the blessing of the Pope, because that's where the money came from to hire the troops to do the war.
There you go.
Yep.
They were the bankers. But anyway, I got a better one for you.
All right, go ahead.
Switzerland or Sweden?
One of the
Switzerland has declared sex a sport, and they're going to have the first sex Olympics.
Okay, wait a minute. First of all,
all right, I need to fact check this.
First of all, they're a little late to the game. Humankind has been sport and effing. That's not. I almost said the word. Wrong show to be cussing. Yeah. Humankind has been sport effing for longer than I've been alive, probably longer than anybody on planet Earth has been alive.
Since the dawn of humanity.
So what is the criteria?
Well,
how do you win?
So this
like
is
whoever lasts the longest.
I imagine in order for it to be a sport, there has to be a degree of competition. Yeah. Right?
Well,
so duration, I'm thinking, like how long can you go?
Distance, I liked the distance.
I'm thinking like, how they have these
we used to call it PSI.
These marathon dances, these dance competitions.
Yeah.
And whoever's the last dancing couple left gets the prize.
So it's just like a giant orgy, basically?
But it's just an orgy. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
But
I can get down with that.
Just don't be the first eliminated from the orgy.
Well, we got to talk about it first, Major. Give us a second. Are we done?
All right.
Okay,
Sure.
Go ahead, Major.
All right, so there's like 15 or 18 different categories in this competition.
Is there like the heavyweight class and like the lightweight class?
That one does not get aired on
we're
TV.
Not going into Smallville here. So anyway, they only spit out about 5 of them on the radio when I heard this thing.
Right.
One of them was
They only spit out 5, huh?
One of them was hush up, Ricky. One of them was suction. One of them was stamina.
Stamina,
One of them
duration,
was,
okay.
Was physical appearance,
Mm-hmm.
and what were the other two?
So you could win the stamina events, but lose because you're an ugly bastard.
And it is Sweden, by the way. The country is Sweden.
Sweden?
Oh, so fact check, this is a real event.
It is, yes.
Okay, all right.
I have an article, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I told you. I try not to lie. Sometimes I'm misled by,
The internet?
urban legends and all that kind of crap, but I try to give you the straight poop.
Yeah, and speaking of poop, we'll have
event.
Speaking of poop, we'll have a number 2 story later on in this episode of Free Talk Live.
I was hoping you was going to get to that because I usually can have some fun with those too.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to read this one sentence
All right,
because
go
I
ahead.
think it's funny.
Wait, where's this from? Site source? What's a web page? Something.com. Something.
It's iflscience.com.
Oh,
I don't know
I
what-
effing love science. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anyway,
So, you think you're good at sex? Maybe the best in the world? Well, you may finally have the chance to put your money and several other things where your mouth is.
There's an entry fee? What's the entry fee?
do you have to
I don't think so. The European Sex Championship is set to take place on June 8th, so it already happened.
Do we have results?
Is there like
Matches between 16 different countries. Wow.
Is there like a playoffs? Is there like a elimination tournament type thing? You know,
I would like to be
Can you
the-
root for like your favorite person or couple or whatever?
I want to be the 2024 American representative.
I just now I'm having this flashback to basketball where they have I think it's not Brent Musburger. It's who are the 2 announcers that are like sideline, commentators? Will they have that at the sex sport Olympics that we're talking about?
I don't know.
Because they should call up some lesser known underground nationally syndicated talk radio host and ask him if he wants to sideline comment. Pay him for it.
Will the number 1 vendor on the site
Wear a splash guard.
long hot dogs?
Throwing a hot dog down a hallway, what?
Yeah. Help
Brings
me
a whole
find
new
my
meaning to hot dog eating
Well,
competition.
What's that, Major?
There's an old joke. 2 guys wake up in some old girl's hoochie and Guy says, "You got a light?" And the guy says, "What do you mean you got a light? How are we going to get out of here?" He says, "Yeah, you got a light? If I can find my keys, we'll drive my van out."
Oh, my gosh. So, bad news. Apparently, the Sex Olympics is not an official sport because they didn't get the proper paperwork submitted to make it official.
It's even better.
Yeah, that's like
Right.
saying that your dart tournament isn't a sport because you didn't fill out
It's
the
a
paperwork.
sport to me, buddy.
I remember when the X Games started. It was all the cool stuff that they
Is
wouldn't
this
put in the
on
Olympics.
ESPN?
Ocho?
Yeah, the Ocho.
So
Since it's from one of two movies you've seen.
So the Sex Olympics version of the X Games would be like all of your ex-boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever participating in the Sex Olympics. That would be the X Games.
They're the judges.
Oh, even worse.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I
think
remember
you've-
when he used to do that.
You've thrown things for a terrible.
Not today,
terrible loop.
buddy.
Major Payne, anything else?
That would be a harsh competition if all the exes were your judges.
Right.
No. Peace out, boys.
Thanks for the
Have a
call,
good one.
Major. We appreciate you. 603-283-6160. Is there more to this?
Did they say
Oh, yeah, yeah.
since it
There's
already happened?
There is more to this.
I just
This
want to know
is
who
great.
won.
I don't know
Was
if
it
it gets to that point.
The Swedes, the Russians. It's not going to be the Italians.
So, due to the fact that the application was incomplete, the Applicant Association was instructed to supplement the application, that's a lot of applications, and thus remedy the deficiencies.
They're bureaucrats.
So this
It
is
seems like legalese.
the National Sports Confederation.
They're bureaucrats. They must have forms just laying around.
Yeah. I don't care about who cares if it's an official event?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just make it up.
Although, like
the Office Olympics is a thing.
Let's
right?
just say
who can flick the paperclip the furthest.
Let's just say that next year, for example, this particular organization gets their S together and fills out all the right paperwork and pays all the right fees for it to become officially a licensed sport. Will we see this in the Olympics?
Possibly.
Because that's what happened to bowling and chess.
Yeah, chess is a weird one.
Right? Like these things, and there's like badminton, which I guess is a sport, but
It's
whatever.
more of a sport than chess.
Or bowling.
Bowling is a sport.
Bowling I can see, but like barely. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way. It's the Sunday night edition.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow with the Week in Review. Donald Trump this week was charged over his alleged mishandling of classified documents after he left the White House. The twice impeached former US president, who's again running for the White House, faces 37 criminal counts including conspiracy, false statements, obstruction of justice, and illegally retaining classified documents under the Espionage Act. From Washington, D.C., Benji Hire reports.
It's his second indictment in as many months. This one could land him a prison sentence on conviction. In a post on Truth Social, Mr. Trump, protesting his innocence, said he'd been summoned to appear at a federal court in Miami, Florida, on Tuesday afternoon. He'll be arrested there and hear the charges against him. What is this all about? Well, last year, his Florida resort Mar-a-Lago was searched by the FBI and 11,000 documents were seized. They included around 100 marked as classified, some labelled top secret. A separate investigation into Joe Biden's handling of documents continues. Benji Hire, Washington, D.C.
The French president has condemned the stabbing attack in southeast France that took place on Thursday, leaving 4 children needing intensive care. Ross Cullen has the latest.
Emmanuel Macron said that attacking children was the most barbaric act there is. He was speaking on Friday after visiting Annecy, where an attack took place on Thursday as a man stabbed adults and children in and around a playground in the southeast city in France. The French president also met members of the public who tried to intervene to stop the attack, saying that he was extremely proud of their efforts.
A major dam was destroyed in Ukraine on Tuesday, triggering what the United Nations calls a humanitarian, economic and ecological catastrophe. Moscow and Kyiv blame each other, and heavy flooding has forced thousands to evacuate the region. Journalist Tom Much has visited the Kherson region and reports from Odessa.
The Ukrainian government is warning that the worst of the flooding is still to come, that there could be a higher water level coming in the next 2 or 3 days. Again, this is actually going to affect Russian-occupied areas even worse because they're on the lower bank of the river.
Heavy smoke from Canada's wildfires impacted millions of people across parts of North America this week. On Tuesday, New York's air quality was briefly ranked as the worst in the world, with officials urging residents to stay indoors. President Biden's announced that more than 600 US firefighters have been sent north to help Canadian authorities battle the blazes. More than 200 fires are burning out of control. And former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is stepping down as a Member of Parliament, following the release of the Partygate report. The inquiry was examining whether he misled Parliament over whether Downing Street broke COVID lockdown rules. Johnson says the report is an attempt to drive him out. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the agonies of a Republican politician seeking to challenge Donald Trump for the party's presidential nomination, despite a long track record of slavishly backing him. Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey, was one of several Republicans announcing presidential campaigns this week. Back in 2016, as governor, he was one of the first prominent Republican-elected lawmakers to back Trump in his quest for the presidency. Now, he says, he got it wrong.
What I was hoping to do by endorsing him early, recognizing that he had won in New Hampshire, he had won in South Carolina, and almost won in Iowa. He was the nominee. And I thought as a longtime friend, I could make him a better candidate and a better president. I was wrong.
He certainly changed his tune. Here was Chris Christie on the stump this week.
He is, for those of you who read the Harry Potter books, like Voldemort, who never admits a fault and who always finds someone else and something else to blame for whatever goes wrong. And there's this thing like, Christie doesn't really care about winning. All he cares about doing is destroying Trump. Now let me ask you something. How are those two things mutually exclusive? I am going out there to take out Donald Trump, but here's why. I want to win.
He has a long road ahead of him, garnering just 1% of support among Republican voters at the beginning of a 2024 primary process in which Donald Trump is still the runaway leader. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
FSN is an independent source of news for TV, radio and digital networks worldwide. You can find more of our minute-by-minute updates on Twitter. Follow us there at Feature Story. And we have a wealth of audio and video stories from our global news bureaus on Facebook. You can find us there by following Feature Story News. Stay tuned for further updates right here. But for now, that's the latest Feature Story News. William Denslow reporting.
Federal authorities are currently on high alert in Washington, D.C., following reports that hundreds of crazed sociopaths infiltrated the congressional chambers this morning. Mary Canley, a Capitol employee who managed to escape the House chambers, described the troubling scene to reporters.
I saw all of them. About 400 to 500 completely deranged people just rambling on about guns, the military, and money.
Investigators say the lunatics, many of whom are believed to suffer from severe personality disorders, have locked themselves in the chambers for hours now, with no clear purpose or reasoning.
I looked at one of them right in the eyes, and it was like he was empty on the inside, devoid of any emotion or feeling. It was horrifying. It's only a matter of time before they do something that really hurts someone.
We believe these men to be manipulative and extremely dangerous. Luckily, they are also very disorganized, and there is a chance they may never be able to ever take any action at all. For more on this developing story, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
And we're back. And we're here live in the studio from 7 to 10 p.m. every Sunday, this particular crew. But the show, Free Talk Live, is 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 p.m. If you like the show, you can go listen to literally all of our back episodes.
You can try.
Over at Free Talk. Well, yeah.
You'll never get through it.
You have the opportunity.
Never say never.
You have the opportunity to go and listen to all of the back episodes over at freetalklive.com. Find the archives when you go there. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
Before we go on, I have to say, I don't have to say, but I'm going to say, that this hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Rising fees have made Bitcoin useless for purchases, but Dash continues to have fees less than 1 cent per transaction, and it has implemented some really cool features to ensure it is undefeated as the most useful cryptocurrency in the marketplace. From a technical standpoint, Dash transactions are irreversible, and its network is protected from 51% attacks by their chain locks technology. There's no need to wait for a confirmation before considering a Dash transaction complete. So this makes it ideal for merchants. It's one of the oldest cryptocurrencies, widely available on all exchanges, or most exchanges, and in multiple crypto wallets. It's easy to get and easy to use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. And thanks to the Dash DAO, that's a decentralized autonomous organization, for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Again, dash.org. We have some calls to get to, but first I want to say welcome to all of the listeners in New Bern, North Carolina, listening to us on WNOS, AM 1450 and FM 102.3. Welcome to you guys. The number here is 603-283-6160 if you want to participate in tonight's show.
Missed opportunity.
Totally missed opportunity.
Go ahead.
North Carolina.
There we go.
There you go.
Well, welcome to you folks listening on WNOS. We've been talking about, what have we been talking about?
Religion and AI and the sex Olympics.
Yeah. Right. Religion,
separate issues.
AI, sex. What were we last talking about?
The sex Olympics.
No.
Was there any more to your article, Nikki?
Oh, yeah.
You got to give us the category. As we went to break,
I know,
read
I
out the
better.
categories.
Yeah, because I just found a good spot in this article, and of course now I'm not going to be able to find it.
It's the best place for a good.
That was the spot.
Was it the G spot?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, here it is. Okay. So, according to several viral posts and a few recent news reports, the European Sex Championship is okay. Sorry, I already read that. Judges from Swedish Sex Federation would look at seduction, body massages, exploring erotic zones, prelude, oral sex, penetration, endurance, physical appearance, pose execution, creativity in position changes, and the number of orgasms within a given time to determine who wins.
You know the Russians are cheating on that one.
Yep. So do you feel threatened yet? Anyone? Because I do.
I just want to see them throw down like the most muscular, mid penetration. Pose position.
There's like maybe one or two categories I could compete in, but
all of those,
no, not by any
come
stretch.
on.
No,
yeah, that's
not even when I was younger and much better looking.
I mean, what category? Like, what's your top category on
endurance?
That? Endurance.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The greatest sexual compliment I ever received was like during the act, like, "Don't you ever take Viagra."
That's a compliment. Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of that one myself.
Yep.
Yeah. So, at any rate, what else?
All right. Just like the regular Olympic events, contestants would be marked on difficulty of the attempted maneuver and the execution, as well as artistic performance.
The guy from Japan is doing the helicopter.
It's like gymnastics.
Hands down, he wins.
Yeah, this is like what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. There has to be like double jointed people who are going to win like the posing and the position one, because like there's positions that like some people can pull off that no one else on planet Earth can pull off.
I mean, and all of these people are porn stars, or at least most of them. I mean, they have to be. Like, these aren't your average Joes.
Or they're professional providers of sexual services.
Yep. Yeah, prostitutes. Yeah,
I've seen one where it's like a sunset flip power bomb right into oral. It was like, I've got to rewind that.
Yeah.
Wow,
it was amazing. And again, the helicopter. The helicopter might be the most impressive thing I've seen.
It seems like there is a market for this type of a thing.
I would think so, but unfortunately, for anyone about to quit their job and go full time into competitive sex, the above reports are incorrect.
That's it, guys. I'm done.
Yep. Mic drop. Well, organizers were hoping to run a competitive sex competition as a sport. Ultimately, it was rejected on the grounds that the application was incomplete.
That just means it's a paperwork issue.
Yep.
It's not even based on the merits of the competition.
Anarchist Sex Olympics.
I saw.
Coming to Porkfest.
Yeah, coming to a pork fest near you.
It'll be
no
held,
one will go. They're like, oh no.
It'll be held in the.
I wouldn't be there either.
It'll be held in the mini golf area.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the new. Well, we already have our annual. We already have our annual mini golf tournament.
It could be right after that.
Yep, right after that.
Right after the mini golf tournament.
I'm bringing my Big Bertha to the mini golf section.
Oh my gosh.
Going for the longest drive.
All right, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We've got Ricky from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And don't say the other word, please.
What would that be, Captain?
The cuss word that you usually say when you call into Beard Talk Live.
Well, no. I know that. Now, Captain, it's me. I've been on over 1,000 shows. I think I get it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything, but go ahead.
You worry.
I mean, you're the one who almost had to dump yourself earlier, so maybe give Ricky a little bit of.
No, I don't want to.
I was a little hyped up when I was talking about a certain
I don't think I will.
Okay. I guess
you do you.
Anyway, what's on your mind, Ricky?
Well, enough of that crap. Well, I heard some of the things you were talking about. I'm going to comment on a few things. I'm going to jump around a little bit. First of all, I did want to briefly comment on taxes. I mean, I'm right now, because I had to move into a new apartment this past Friday. Not that I had a choice, but I had to. Plus, I got taxes coming up. Property taxes.
Wait. What happened? Your sugar mama made you move or what?
No, it's a long story.
Okay, all right. You don't have to tell it. It's fine.
I didn't do anything wrong. I was there for 20 months. But the point is, nonetheless, I got property taxes and school taxes, and I don't know which one's more ridiculous. Paying a tax on something I already own, I guess, for the privilege of owning it or something.
Welcome to home ownership.
Yeah, it's just it really is the fact that you don't own anything. Your owners own everything you own, and if you don't pay them, they will take your stuff and throw you in a cage and shoot you.
I mean, that's another one. Because, I mean, my point of view. You've heard me, and so has everybody else. I mean, I believe that the public school system should be completely dismantled and defunded. I mean, from personal experience growing up, it's called a lie. I was talking about that last night, by the way, and I don't have any kids in school. And I shouldn't have to pay for, quote, school taxes, being that I don't even believe in the public school.
So you want a bunch of dummies to be running around in society causing all sorts of damage and
Name a thing that's funded.
That's what the school system creates is dummies.
Absolutely.
Name anything, Ricky. I'm not asking you to do this, but a human could name anything that is tax funded. And I could say, well, I don't use that, or I don't want that, or I don't believe in that, and thus I shouldn't have to pay for it. Taxation doesn't care about that.
Well, that was my point earlier, right? Like if you have one of those things in your life that you just don't want to pay for, right? Here's your opportunity to stage a tax protest and to encourage others to do the same.
Yep.
Right? I don't even care what your pet issue is.
I do want to comment on that.
Go for it.
Here's my point of view on things. Now, I've heard different scenarios and different approaches. First of all, one wrong approach is either A, cheating on your taxes, or lying. That's a wrong answer. That's a wrong thing to do. I don't agree with that for a lot of reasons. But B, another wrong answer is people have done it. I'll tell you how it works here in the Commonwealth. And they're actually pretty cool with it. Now, say you don't, it's not even the school. The one they get uptight about is property taxes. If you don't pay your property tax, and that's the little one, mind you. Now, if you don't pay it 1 year, that's fine. You can go ahead. You don't pay it another year, fine. You can go on the plan either way. Now, what happens is if it kicks in the third year, say goodbye to it. It's going to go fast.
So here's
I would say not test it.
Here's the uncomfortable situation that we don't like to get into here on Free Talk Live. Right? Property is one of two things. That which everyone, or rights and property. Rights is one of two things, right? That which everyone agrees upon, or that which you can defend, right? And property works much the same way. It's mine because I said it's mine, and people agree that it is mine, right? Like, I'm holding my phone. Well, this is my phone because everyone around me goes like, no, that's Rich's phone, and we're not going to mess with it, right? Or if someone tries to steal it, I have to defend it.
And if you can't, then it's my phone.
Right. And if I can't defend it, then it's your phone. And under the state paradigm, I could be like, well, I'm going to call the big gang and they're going to come get it back for me because I pay my taxes. Right.
Right. Now, one point I'll throw in here, and I was thinking about this today because I was thinking about Pennsylvania.
But it works for property tax too, right? If you're not going to pay, you have to defend it.
Well, here's what I was thinking about. Because, I mean, I'm not happy with Pennsylvania being an association. I mean, it's time to blow it away. I want it gone. I want to go. Okay, but that aside, okay, finally the union. But one of the things I'll point out to people, I don't know about all, but most of the territories in the country, going back to the days, this is after 1776. To this day, it's a small amount, but I know PA is one of them. I know there's a lot of them. There's still a small portion of money annually every year that goes to the monarchy. And the question of ownership is, I think, really up the debate going way, way, way back. I'm not even certain myself. And I think that's what comes into play with a lot of this crap, unfortunately. And I think people in modern day who do buy the property, they end up getting punished as a result.
Because they don't actually own it.
That's what I just said.
Right? The state claims ownership of it regardless, right? And you know that they own it, right? You know, by right or by law or whatever, you know that they own it because they can defend it, right? They go like, well, you didn't pay. Right, now we're going to take our property back by force if necessary.
Right, here come the men with guns and uniforms and all that kind of stuff to come and throw you out of your supposed property when it really isn't because it's theirs.
And good luck trying to defend it, you know.
Yeah.
But if enough people did, right, it can't be one. It can't be one in the neighborhood.
I will say we got good for, at least for us in PA anyways. We do have a pretty small property tax. Now, when it comes to school tax, it's weird the way they do it. It goes by township, but like in my township, they have what they call actually, I'm not even in there, but it goes by the township where I have the land. Yeah. It goes on a flat fee in a particular township. So on my school taxes, I'll get $615 off of the school taxes. I'll take it. It varies for townships.
A reduction is a reduction, and anybody who's being raped by the tax man will take a reduction in the amount of rape they're receiving.
You guys get killed in New Hampshire,
On property tax, yes.
Yeah, property tax is the
right. I mean, So I'm actually doing pretty good. I mean, it sucks, but I'm kind of like.
Well, yeah, but doesn't PA have a whole bunch of other taxes that New Hampshire doesn't? Like New Hampshire doesn't have income tax. New Hampshire doesn't have really any other tax.
Well, and I was having this discussion with somebody from Massachusetts. They were like, "Oh, well, your property tax."
Hold on.
But
Don't interrupt Nikki.
So my point was, there are a whole, kind of like you said about other states, there are a whole bunch of taxes that Massachusetts has that New Hampshire doesn't have. Excise tax.
Wait a minute.
You know, we don't have to pay excise tax in New Hampshire. A lot of people don't even know what that is.
Right.
You know, but if you live in Massachusetts, you sure know what excise tax is.
I sure as hell don't live in Massachusetts. And, you know, it's funny. They used to be once like PA, but it's funny somebody said municipalities. Right. That and getting a bunch of status in their government destroyed Massachusetts.
Sure.
You know, but here's a question I have.
You can look at the overall tax burden of any state. New Hampshire is not the best in overall tax burden, but it's better than most, and there are other freedoms that make it worth it.
Well, and that was my thing, too.
I got a question. Hold on, Nikki. I got a question the captain mentioned. Income tax. So you're telling me if you live in New Hampshire, you don't have to file federal income tax?
No, you do have to file federal, not state.
And federal is like 30%? So, I mean, depending on your tax bracket.
Well, I was almost you almost got me there. I was ready to move to New Hampshire.
But if New Hampshire secedes and no longer belongs to the federal government, there goes that federal tax.
Well, and if you don't have an income, wink, wink, then whatever.
Yeah. New Hampshire only wants you. New Hampshire only wants you to move here if you are willing to help make New Hampshire more free. It sounds like you would be willing to do that, but.
Oh, yeah, I'm close to a libertarian. Actually, if I moved to New Hampshire, I probably would change my party to libertarian. But I did want to say something. You know?
No.
One of the things, I mean, I disappeared for 5 years. And
Where'd
it's
you
a
go?
funny story.
It's longer than Jesus.
It was not my choice. I promise, Brother Ian. It's because of stuff I talked about on this show. That's why I got picked up. It's a story. I'll tell it someday. It's going to be on January 23rd, the holiday for Pennsylvanians. I decided this. I'm going to tell them that this week. But here's the point I'm trying to make.
It's like 6 months
ago. It's coming right up. Now, here's the thing. I've come to this conclusion, you know. I mean, my phone's delayed, but once I get it, I'm going to be back online. I've been out and about just like I was years ago because I was hot in 17. I was real hot. I was hot as a pistol. I was being treated like a celebrity in the district. And, you know, that's fine.
Big
and I
fish,
like
small
it
pond.
because I could further the cause. So my cause
Hottest member of my
now
household,
is
too.
secession. Secession is what's at the top of my mind. Not that it wasn't back when I was running for office, but I want to blow it away more than ever. I got a lot of reasons, including, I don't want to sound like an old fogey, but Generation Z concerns me. I don't want to see...
What is Generation G?
Huh?
Oh, you said Z. Sorry. Is that what you...
I thought you said G as well.
I see what's happening with these people. I don't want to sound like an old fogey, but I'm realistic. I mean, first of all, I don't want to see the Commonwealth, even of today, turn into some kind of status piece of garbage. I want to blow it away now while I'm alive.
By definition, that organization is a state.
And that's, And that's the thing.
I
It's
want to
like...
blow it away while I'm alive yet.
What is your concern with Generation Z, though?
Well,
they're not involved enough in politics.
Several levels. First, I'm going to answer your question. Level one, problem A, the public school system. Problem B, really poor parenting. I mean, in the sense of that these kids aren't. I was basically treated like an adult, but I did have good parents. That's not the case here. The parenting is non-existent. Plus, there's a big embracement by the parents, I think, of the government, but there's a total lack of understanding of how the government even works with these guys. Plus, their whole
sounds like a positive to me.
Around social media. Why do you keep talking over me?
Because we're a talk radio show. That's what we do.
I know, but I was done. I don't know if that last word is in. Their whole life surrounds.
I like to address points as they come up, so I don't forget to address them, and then you don't do the Gish Gallop.
I'm glad there, Richie.
Well, it's when you do that, when you're having a conversation, right, and you make multiple points, and you got to go back and address them all, and I'd rather just address them as they come up, right? So the Gen Z parenting issue is not their fault. They're kids, right? Blame the millennials for being terrible parents. If you're concerned with how, that's a millennial problem right there.
I totally agree with that.
And when it comes down to, like, they don't know how things work, that seems like a positive to me, right? They have zero. You blame the public schools, but you say they don't know how things work. And if they don't know how things work, we can bring them on to the ideas of freedom and liberty.
I don't
That's
necessarily
right.
know if that is a
where I'm
good thing,
going.
though.
They can be totally indoctrinated and victimized, too.
So the thing with them not understanding whatever the apparatus of the state is they're kind of just blindly trusting it. Obviously, I'm generalizing and not all of them, but it seems like the bulk of Gen Z people that I know are kind
and
of
I'm
just
starting to see it here.
Yeah, they're just blindly trusting the system, and they're becoming very reliant on the system. And it's not just Gen Z; it's millennials,
It is,
Gen
yeah.
X. I mean,
It is a
people
problem.
cannot fathom life without the state.
Half of Gen X anyway.
It is a problem of the state because the state has been around for so long that when people are born, it's just a thing that exists. And it's more difficult to question a thing that exists. You don't question like, oh, the sidewalk is there. How did it get there? Because it's always been there. Same thing goes with the state. You just don't question. It's just always there.
Right. But if they don't understand the mechanism, right, then you can pull them out of it and give them the alternative mechanism.
Maybe.
Right. If they don't know how the banking system works, just show them Bitcoin, right, or crypto, right? Then you don't have to worry that they don't know how the banking system works. They're out of it.
I feel like if people understood how it worked, then maybe they would understand how broken it is.
Who
Or
cares?
obviously it's not
Right,
broken. I mean, it's
right.
operating
That's my
exactly
point.
how it's meant to
Right,
be.
right.
But
But-
I think they would just understand, like,
That it
wow,
is
this is really messed up, and like this isn't right.
They
Maybe.
just live on social media. That's their whole damn life.
So
Well,
meet
yeah,
them
it's
there.
just the distractions,
That's
right? It's
not
like
it.
reality TV,
That's-
video games. It's
Yeah.
all a
But the
distraction.
Meet 'em there.
sociological effect is what makes this stuff happen. That's what the government uses. I mean, you know?
Right. If they don't know how emergency services work, right, don't tell them to call 911. Show them the Cell 411 app, right? If they don't know how it works, just feed them the positive
Right.
aspect.
Show
of
them the newest thing or the
Yeah.
newest, most
If they're-
freedom-oriented thing.
If they're on the edge of technology already, right, and put freedom on the edge of technology, and they will gravitate to it and leave the
If I can,
legacy
Brother
system
Richie.
behind.
One thing that I did is Generation X. I will say at least the good half of Generation Y. Now, Generation Y was identical to my generation in every way. So the good half I took under my wing. Now, I'll give these guys a shot.
You
Generation
didn't take half a
very young
generation
now.
under your wing. First of all, you
They're
don't have
very
wings.
young. Huh?
You didn't take half a generation under your wing.
I had a Red
No,
Bull
I
before
mean
show.
the
Does that
good
count?
half, Captain. I took individuals I would meet, and if I could, I'd talk to them and, stuff like that.
I say,
know?
now, boy.
Oh, not with the Elmer. I almost cursed. Thanks a lot, Captain.
Ricky, thank you for the call tonight. We appreciate you. 603
Foghorn Leghorn, not Elmer
283
Fudd for the
6160. I swear to God, he
youngins in the
sounds
crowd.
like Foghorn Leghorn, just a more articulate version
Okay.
of Foghorn Leghorn. He's got that, and he's not even he's from Pennsylvania, so I don't know how he sounds like Foghorn Leghorn, but he does.
It's the 5 years that he
I'll
was
take
away.
your word for it.
She hasn't seen Foghorn Leghorn?
No.
Oh.
Wah, wah.
When I cuss on air, I gotta dump
Oh,
myself.
man, right at the end,
Whoa.
too.
Yeah, I caught it in the nick of teen. Nick of time? Yeah, sorry.
It could have just been an exhale.
603-283-6160. Still to come, our number 2 story. And also, why is Captain Kickass in the news about some sort of music revolution? More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Caroline Malone. Former US President Donald Trump has blasted historic federal indictment charges against him as ridiculous and baseless during his first public appearance since they were unsealed. The indictment charges Trump with defying Justice Department demands that he return classified documents, that he enlisted aides in his efforts to hide the records, and that he even told lawyers that he wanted to defy a subpoena for the materials stored at his home. At rallies in North Carolina and Georgia over the weekend, Trump tried to delegitimize law enforcement officials and portray himself and his supporters as the victims. He spoke in public for the first time since federal charges were filed against him and had his successor, the current President Joe Biden, on his mind.
Biden is trying to jail his leading political opponent, an opponent that's beating him by a lot in the polls, just like they do in Stalinist Russia or communist China. No different.
Well, President Biden denies any suggestion of being involved. Trump is now due to speak later on Sunday night, then to make his first federal court appearance on Tuesday in Miami, after which he's holding a fundraiser for his 77th birthday on Wednesday. Well, fighting has erupted again in Sudan's capital as a ceasefire came to an end. There's only been a brief pause in violence between the military and paramilitary group RSF since the war began 8 weeks ago. Naba Mohideen is in Sudan.
Fighting renewed in the Sudanese capital Khartoum and in western parts of the country, especially in Al Junaina near the borders with Chad, and in Al Ubaid, which is in Kordofan region, one of the main agricultural and business hubs for Sudan. The situation on the ground is catastrophic. The Sudanese Doctors Committee said the situation is dire, not only in Sudanese capital but also in Al Junaina, where more than 1,000 civilians were killed during the 8 weeks conflict. Naba Muhiddin in Madani, Sudan.
In Colombia, 4 children have been found alive 5 weeks after the plane they were travelling in crashed into thick jungle. A team of 150 soldiers, helped by sniffer dogs, found the 4 siblings alone in the jungle 40 days after the plane they were on came down. Astonishingly, the children, who are 13, 9, 4 and only 1 year old, survived out there in the intervening time. President Gustavo Petro says their rescue has brought great joy to the country.
The first news is that, indeed, the indigenous communities participating in the search, along with the Colombian military, have found the 4 children after 40 days. They were alone. It was them who achieved a great exemplary survival. It will become history. These children are today the children of peace and the children of Colombia.
They've been brought to hospital for a checkup and appear to be physically okay, remarkable considering what they've been through.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
Don't drag it out or anything. Just go ahead and say it real quick and put me on the spot to fill some air when I'm not prepared. That's fine.
We missed the mark by a couple seconds there because it was.
Oh, you missed Mark. Did you hear that, Mark Edge?
I miss Mark too.
Richie Rich misses you. Mark? We have an article just for you, Mark Edge, if you're listening a little later on. Something that I know you're, or at least at some point you professed to be a fan of Marvel Comics.
Ooh.
And so we have something in that vein for you a little bit later.
That's pretty well-known canon with Free Talk Live. He's a Marvel guy.
Yeah, it's true. At any rate, this is Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you'd like to join us, is 603-283-6160. We have some callers on hold right now, so we'll get to those in a moment. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Nikki.
And Rich.
Free Talk Live listeners, we are asking you for a favor. As you perhaps already know, Ian Freeman, this show's founder, was recently convicted of various victimless crimes. And he's facing 20 years in prison for what equates to not having the right paperwork. We can argue all day as to if the jury was mistaken, but that's not going to get us anywhere. What will be helpful is for you to write a letter to the Honorable Joseph LaPlante about Ian's character, how he helps the community, and why you think he deserves a light sentence. Saying things that give yourself or your opinion weight with the government would be helpful, such as a military career, if you've held office, something along those lines. That is always helpful. It would be a tragedy if he had to spend any time at all in prison. We do need these letters quickly, so do not put it off. Send your letter to 63 Emerald Street, number 610, Keene, New Hampshire, 03431. If you didn't write all that down, that's fine. You can find all the info you need at letters.freetalklive.com. That's letters.freetalklive.com. All right. Moving right along. Let's just go to your calls and thoughts. We have an unscreened caller. What is your name, please? You're on the air. Free Talk Live.
Butch.
Hey, Butch. What's on your mind?
Hey, I heard you guys talking about religion and, how it's kind of like a system of belief based upon or lack of evidence or in spite of preponderance of evidence or logic.
Faith and belief requires that. That's like a fundamental part of it.
And I just wanted to, what was that? And I just wanted to say that, another belief that's kind of religious and statist at the same time? Natural rights. And by the way, no one cares that taxation is theft.
I mean,
well, technically,
I disagree.
Technically, taxation is extortion. If you want to, it just sounds cooler to say taxation is theft.
I want to hear Nick. You want to comment on the natural rights part? Because I somewhat agree with him. And that's part of what I was getting at before. So go ahead.
Just don't get how. I guess I just don't understand how that's a statist belief, because to me, natural rights has nothing to do with the state.
Well, natural rights
maybe something to do with religion, depending on your thoughts on that.
So I can say natural rights, in my opinion, are a belief. I believe that people have rights based on your existence. But
it's a religion based.
But I don't know how it's. I don't know how it's statist. So.
Say what you said
first
again,
off, it's a religion, right? First off, we can say it's a religion because
it's not a religion.
It's a belief.
There's no logic. There's no logic to it. There's no evidence to it. There's
but religion is more than just one belief.
It came about at the same time as modern democracy.
Religion is more than just a belief, though. Whereas natural rights is just a belief.
Based
there's no organization recruiting people.
Lack of logic.
All right, I'm not going to talk over you.
Well, did you dump him?
No, he's still here. I just put him on hold for a minute.
Let him talk though, because he's trying to get to a point.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that one belief does not make a religion.
Understood. You got that part out.
Okay.
Now, one belief does not make a religion. Go ahead. You were saying that it's based on something else.
Yeah, I mean, am I on?
Yeah, you're on. You're live.
Okay, yeah. So again, I define religion by it's irrational belief based upon lack of evidence or in spite of preponderance of evidence against it.
Okay.
And lack of lack of logic, right?
So
or a combination of all three.
I generally agree with the statement. I wouldn't incorporate all religion into that, right? Like one is a subset of the other. Religion is founded upon the lack of belief, right, and or faith or whatever you just said.
No, religion is founded on a belief with lack of evidence.
Right. Okay, fine. But not everything that lacks evidence is therefore religious based.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, but it either has to have evidence or logic behind it, consistent logic.
To not be a religion.
And yes, to not be a religion, to be somewhat rational belief.
Okay, let me ask you a question then. I believe that heavy metal music is the best music of all time ever. I just believe that. Is that also a religion?
No, you're talking about a subjective value, which is, but I don't believe.
Okay, so then what's the difference between my belief in heavy metal music being the best music and my belief that rights are a condition of your existence?
Because you're talking about what you think in one, and the other you're universally applying to the rest of reality.
No, I'm just saying that I believe humans have rights based on their existence.
It's like you trying to say what music I like, right?
I would never do that.
No, you have a different religion when it comes to music.
It's like that.
A different belief.
Well, no, in his world, it's the same thing, right? So he has a different religion. He has a different religion when it comes to music.
I just don't get how one belief would be a religion.
Right.
Like, to me, okay, like a religion is a set of beliefs, or worshiping a higher power. Like, there are different criteria to make something
we're on
religion.
the subject, let's just take heavy metal. Butch, hang on. Let's just take my belief that heavy metal is the best music of all time, right? It's a belief, and I know not everybody shares that. What would it take for that belief to become a religion?
Whatever as long as you're telling the truth, whatever you're saying is true by definition when you speak about what your opinion is.
What would it take for my belief to become a religion?
When it's lacking evidence or logic.
There is no evidence or logic.
There's no evidence or logic to my belief. So what's the difference between my belief being a belief and my belief becoming a religion?
This is where your argument falls apart, Butch, right? Because it has to apply to this example.
And I completely disagree with...
What are you talking about?
First of all, I completely disagree with the fact that... the point that you're saying that a religion needs to lack any sort of evidence or logic.
No, I agree with that.
Because I could see some religions having aspects of it that could be based in some sort of evidence or logic,
You're getting lost in just the term. Like, you can replace religion, that definition I used, with irrational, right? If you want to use irrational, that's fine.
But those aren't synonymous, though.
And religious. What was that?
Those two words aren't synonymous to me.
Again, one is a subset of the other.
Well, the way I defined it, it's pretty much synonymous, right?
Then we reject your definition.
You listen to my definition?
We heard your definition, and now we're just going to reject your definition, right? Because we brought up examples.
You can't reject the definition.
We've brought up.
We can.
We absolutely can. We don't agree with your definition.
We don't agree with it.
Right.
Because even if I looked it up in the dictionary, that's not what it would say anyway. So if we want to go for definitions,
right? The way you have defined it does not universally apply
for a rigorous definition, right?
I don't need the dictionary
unless it has.
You're using a definition.
I can't get a thought out without being interrupted.
You absolutely have, though.
Yeah, dude, you've gotten way more airtime. We know your name isn't Butch, too, so, that's fine.
I know this is the same thing that happens every Wednesday, like the past, several weeks, so.
That's Sherlock Homeboy to you.
Okay. So I mean, you can't disagree with the definition.
You can, though, because that's you can't just, I'm going to make up a definition for this word, and every single person in the world has to agree with it, because what you're saying isn't even the actual definition.
I can call it a dog, right? But based upon my definition, you can replace the whole definition I used with religion, right?
No, that's the thing. That's why we reject the definition.
It's just a reference to a concept, which I
then use the appropriate word
as a belief based upon lack of evidence, or in spite of the preponderance of evidence against it, or lack of logic.
Right, but that's not universally applied. There's your problem.
I don't care, because you can't come up with a better definition at the moment.
I don't need a better definition. I've rejected yours.
It's just a definition. I'm talking about irrational belief right here, okay?
Okay.
That's why I wanted to replace. You guys are so hung up on the word religion. I want to replace it with irrational.
Okay.
You guys are just so hung up on it. You just won't let it go. I want to replace religion with irrational, so you guys don't get hung up on it.
So what's your definition of irrational?
The same thing as religion, because I just replaced the terms.
Well, repeat it for me, because I missed it.
The concept. What's that?
Repeat it for me, because I missed it. Define irrational for the sake of this.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Oh, goodbye.
Nope.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
So here's the thing. This is obviously not a formal debate platform. Right. But if you were ever to enter into a formal debate, right, before you start debate, there has to be an agreement on definitions.
Yeah.
Right. And and there are debates where they will go so far as to select the dictionary of which those definitions will be derived from.
Right. We must
because
both
how are
agree.
we? Well, how are we going to debate on something and argue something if we don't even agree on what we're arguing about? You know what I mean?
And so this guy doesn't want the dictionary definition. He wants to make up his own definition. And then when we reject his definition, he has no way to go, okay, well let's,
And that's fine because we kind of were discussing, definitions, whether they're valid or not on Wednesday night's show.
Yeah.
And
this guy calls in every day. By the way.
We don't need to use the dictionary definition. That's fine. We can all reject that, but we still need to agree on what the meaning of the word is. Even if you don't care about definitions, what does this mean? We have to all agree on it, or else we can't even start the conversation.
And the problem with his definition, as he used it, right, it was not universally applicable.
Yeah.
Right, because we gave an example of Captain's belief in heavy metal music.
Yeah.
Right, and the definition did not apply.
Yeah.
So it can't be a definition.
And that's not us getting hooked up on the word, that's not us getting hung up on the word religion. That's just
your definition sucks.
Yeah. And just to simplify, generally speaking, if there's two different words, then they have two different definitions. So religion has a definition and has components of it. Belief has a definition and has components of it. Now, one can be a part of the other. So religion
subsets
has to have the subset of a belief in something that lacks evidence. There might be some evidence, but it lacks evidence.
I would agree that it has to lack it, because once evidence is introduced, right, then it's no longer faith or belief.
Well, so for example, Christianity, there are physical objects that can be tied to the supposed time in which Christ existed, thinking Shroud of Turin, right? That kind of a thing. So that could be considered evidence of the belief that Christ was around and died for your sins and all that kind of stuff. That could be considered evidence, but it lacks enough evidence.
It's evidence. It could be evidence of the historical existence of the
person that the book is based on, right?
But it is no way tied to the belief system, right? Because most religions, right, first of all, require the belief in a deity of some kind,
right?
And the first thing they have to overcome with any atheist is proof that deity exists,
right?
And they fail over and over and over again because it's a belief, it's a faith-based, belief system in the deity, and no evidence will work.
So then let me repeat the question to you, just so let's see if we can get, because you seem to be able to have the logic thoughts and be able to spit them out at least faster than I can.
Don't say.
It takes me a bit, right?
Okay.
Like I'm a little slower, but usually I'll digest things like overnight or in a couple of days, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or like I have a better way to say that. My belief in heavy metal, what would make that become a religion?
Using his definition or just in general?
Just in general. Like, what's the difference between a belief and a religion?
I mean, if you said like my belief in heavy metal is so strong, right, and then you start to evangelize that and get others to believe in heavy metal, right, then theoretically maybe you would have formed
a cult-like organization that shares that belief where we get together and worship the deity.
Sure.
I disagree with that, though, because I think you can have a religion that only one person believes in.
No, you can't. That's so this studio is housed of like to many different religious organizations.
Yeah.
Right. The Church of the Invisible Hand.
Yep. Shire Free Church.
The Satanist, whatever.
Reformed Satanic Church.
Thank you. I don't want to disrespect.
Yep.
Captains, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Of the Reformed, I'm sorry, not Reformed. It's the Church of Spiritual Humanism.
Okay.
Which does worship reason and logic.
Right. And then I sit in this chair as a cult leader because I started a cult years ago. And the thought popped into my head in high school, because in high school, I had to take a world religion class. Remember, like religious Catholic upbringing for those just tuning in.
Okay.
And one of the things that they were asked, one of the things that was in the textbook at the time was like, well, what does it take to become a religion?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many people need to follow you? And the textbook answer at that time, this is like late 90s, the textbook answer at that time was, you must have one follower.
Okay.
And so I wrote that down and I folded it up and I put it in my back pocket.
Yeah,
and I said,
you're like, I'm going to remember that for later.
I'm going to remember. My senior quote is, you can worship me now. And that was part of that. Like, I'm there.
Nice.
And so I started this cult. I had the idea for a cult, but it's not a religion yet because I didn't have a follower, right? And then I met a kid. Like, we were working at the same restaurant. and he was having trouble in school. And I was like, just tell him it's like whatever you want, just tell him it's a religious exemption. You know, it's like, that's the thing, man. I can't because, like, I'm an atheist. And
well, good news for you. You can join my cult.
That's exactly how it happened. I went, dude, I tell you what. I got this cult thing going.
So a win-win for both of you guys.
Here's the thing. Join my cult. When they want you to do anything that you don't want to do, just tell them it's against your religion. And if they question it, have them call me. But, like, send me a text first, and I'll verify and confirm anything you want.
So now my next question is, so if I have my religion, so what is that? Just since I'm the only one that believes in this specific thing, it's just my set of beliefs, I suppose, because it's not really an organized religion.
But if you get one person to follow that unique set of beliefs, right, and go like, hey, follow me, I'm going to take you places.
To me, it just seems dumb that's what puts it over the edge. Like, that's what turns my set of beliefs into a religion. All of a sudden is one other person believing in it.
That's all it takes. Cult leader.
Yeah. Now, you are...
You can disagree, but that's the definition.
You are welcome.
I mean, it might be the definition, but I think it's dumb.
Okay.
You are welcome to be spiritual in any way that you choose.
Yeah, and I guess that's
by yourself
more...
with your beliefs and all that kind of a thing. But the definition of religion is an organization comprised of more than one person, apparently.
One follower.
At least
that's
according to your definition way back in the day. We haven't looked it up here yet tonight. But let's move on to some more of your calls and thoughts. We got Jerome calling from South Carolina. Jerome, you are on Free Talk Live.
Trump train, choo-choo!
37 counts, choo-choo!
I might be in the minority opinion on that. I'm okay with that.
What did he say?
Treasury, choo-choo!
37 counts, like the Trump indictment.
Oh, whatever.
People are up in arms like, I can't believe they're indicting a former sitting president. I'm like,
I don't care. I love that.
I love it too. Okay, good.
Let's let Jerome talk.
Espionage, traitor.
Yep, all that.
Hey, I just wanted to say this. I got a message for Travis Rudolph, the football player in Florida got away with murder. I just want him to know you will never find happiness and peace in your life ever again. Okay?
Hey,
you got away with murder.
PTSD.
You have your freedom, but you'll never find peace and you'll never find happiness ever again in your life. And you cried in court the other day when the verdict was in because you got away, but that won't be the last time you cry. I promise you. It won't be the last time you cry. Okay?
That's probably accurate.
Are you speaking from experience, Jerome?
You didn't have to kill anyone. You didn't have to. They were running away. You made your point. They left.
Are you speaking from experience, Jerome, with your time in the military?
Look, don't talk about my time in the military because you don't know anything. What have you ever done for this country, man?
Not a thing.
Yammer all on the radio. What have you ever done?
Nothing.
Okay.
I owe them nothing. They owe me nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then don't criticize me until you walk the mile in my shoes.
I have no desire to join the military and kill innocent people, so I'm not ever going to walk a mile in your shoes.
You have nothing to offer to this country.
I don't.
Okay. Of course, that's why you'll never be in the military. You are a military cut. You couldn't make the cut, man.
So that's not true. I once had both. I had the Army, or who was I talking to? I had the Marines on the phone talking to me because my ASVAB was so high in high school that I had to put them on call waiting because the Army was on the other line also trying to recruit me. I was heavily recruited in high school.
And what happened?
I went to college instead. Got a master's degree.
Yeah, right. You have a master's degree, huh?
I have an MBA from Gonzaga University.
In what?
Hey,
it's a master's of business administration.
There's plenty of people that go to college ain't that bright. Okay?
I know.
There are plenty of people that go to college. Trump went to Penn, an Ivy League school. You going to tell me he's brilliant?
No.
The man who said, I just want people to stop dying.
Hey, I got a question, though,
and I can shoot somebody.
Jerome, I got a question. You were talking about this football player who killed somebody as they were running away. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're very upset with this person, and you had a message for him that he's never going to find peace. And so I can understand why you might be upset that somebody killed a guy who was running away. How come you're not equally upset when you hear this same story about police killing a guy, when they shoot him in the back, or when they shoot a kid in the car?
What do you mean I'm not upset? You're damn right I'm upset about it. Look, I grew up in the 50s,
the armed forces do it to
I've
the brown
seen a
people.
lot of this stuff. I grew up, I'm 66 years old,
Say that again.
I grew up during the civil rights struggle. You don't need to tell me about about police brutality.
So why are you defending it when it comes to the military?
I'm not defending it.
Okay.
But the military have done some good things. And then, okay, let me ask you this. When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, what was America supposed to do?
Not set up the blockade to instigate the attack.
What was America supposed to do?
He just
you
answered
got a
it.
war
Again.
going on in Ukraine. You got a war going on. You got killing people left and right.
Not set up the blockade to instigate the attack.
As far as he just mentioned Ukraine, I mean, we could just stay out of it because it's none of our business. And the more troops we send there, the more it just it's like putting oxygen in a fire. You know, it just makes it worse. I don't think us sending troops over there. Why can't we? We're all the way over on the other side of the world. We're not even. I mean, obviously, we might have troops already stationed there. But I mean, we don't have to be the world. The United States military does not have to be the world police. They don't need our help, though.
I mean, they need somebody's help. They were getting slaughtered by the Russians.
They need our help.
Which is none of our business, you know? I just don't.
Like I said, I don't even care about child abuse from my family next door, right, or the neighbors next door. I don't give a darn what's going on in Ukraine. Right? That is your business.
Of course not, because you don't have a conscience. You don't have a soul. That's right.
Hey, Jerome.
As an atheist, it's also probably
I have
true.
another question, Jerome. If you care so much about what's going on in Ukraine, how come you're not over there doing anything about it?
He's 62. His fighting days are over.
I'm not in the condition to be able to do anything about it. That's why.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
You could travel, right?
I'm not.
Send some money.
Yeah, but
You
I'm
can travel.
not in the condition
Privately
to
funded.
do that. Do you know anything about my health?
I'm not saying that you have to go over there and physically get into altercations, but you could certainly go over there and provide some support. You could provide counseling. You could provide, you could just talk to people who are having a hard time.
Send guns.
Look,
how come
I
you're not
support
over there?
My country. I support. Why aren't you over there? You always
Because I don't care. That's why I'm not over there, because I don't
not.
care. You care. Why aren't you there?
Yeah.
You're just like the
And I'm
presidents. The
glad there's
presidents
someone
claim that they care about what's going on with the people over there, but they don't go themselves. So the obvious answer is you just want to spout off about it. You don't actually care about those people. You just want to gaslight our nationally syndicated radio audience.
In the sky, look, it's the virtue signal.
Oh, it is. It's a big V, and it's got Jerome's face on it.
You don't give a damn. So where does that leave you? You don't give a damn.
About what?
Leaves me with more money in my pocket as I prevent the state from taking it.
I care.
Oh, I care immensely. That's why I'm on the radio. That's why I do this. That's why I speak bad of the organization that does nothing but murder and steal from people. That's all that it's good. That is true. It is true. That's all it does. Everything government has, it first takes from someone else. Government doesn't produce anything. Government doesn't produce anything, Jerome. Government doesn't make anything. Government doesn't manufacture anything. All it does is it steals from other people and then takes a huge chunk off the top for itself and all of its friends and then gives it to, people who then make the things that government tells them to.
It's the most inefficient consumption on the planet.
Thanks for the call, Jerome. 603-283-6160. The third hour of Free Talk Live is still to come. We have our number 2 story to get to yet, as well as something about some guy in the news about music. We'll get there. It's coming up. Free Talk Live.
The religion of music.
Free Talk Live.
My law proposes this. You cannot say how a movie ends before it has gone through its HBO run. This is punishable by death because I am so sick and tired of people spoiling movies for me that I think we should hang them.
Maybe movies is a capital crime and books is like a ticket.
Violation. Yeah, no, I'm with that. Misdemeanor. Misdemeanor for a book. I'm with that. I'll let you slide on that one. Okay.
I don't actually have
but on Netflix, they just put them all out there all at once, so it encourages more binge watching. Right. And it's just a kind of a different way to release things. So how do you deal with that with your proposed law, Dan?
Look, I'm American. I don't think about laws before I propose them.
So we gotta pass it to find out what's in it? Let the Supreme Court interpret it?
Exactly.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Former US President Donald Trump has blasted historic federal indictment charges against him as ridiculous and baseless during his first public appearance since they were unsealed. The indictment charges Trump with defying Justice Department demands that he return classified documents, that he enlisted aides in his efforts to hide the records, and that he even told lawyers that he wanted to defy a subpoena for the materials stored at his home. While the documents include sensitive and classified papers, some on nuclear secrets that were found in his home in Florida. At rallies in North Carolina and Georgia over the weekend, Trump tried to delegitimize law enforcement officials and portray himself and his supporters as the victims. He spoke in public for the first time since federal charges were filed against him and had his successor, the current President Joe Biden, on his mind.
Biden is trying to jail his leading political opponent, an opponent that's beating him by a lot in the polls, just like they do in Stalinist Russia or communist China. No different.
Well, President Biden denies any suggestion of being involved. Trump is now due to speak later on Sunday night, then to make his first federal court appearance on Tuesday in Miami, after which he's holding a fundraiser for his 77th birthday on Wednesday. Well, fighting has erupted again in Sudan's capital as a ceasefire came to an end. There's only been a brief pause in violence between the military and paramilitary group RSF since the war began 8 weeks ago. Naba Mohideen is in Sudan.
Fighting renewed in the Sudanese capital Khartoum and in western parts of the country, especially in Al Junaina near the borders with Chad, and in Al Ubaid, which is in Kordofan region, one of the main agricultural and business hubs for Sudan. The situation on the ground is catastrophic. The Sudanese Doctors Committee said the situation is dire, not only in Sudanese capital but also in Al Junaina, where more than 1,000 civilians were killed during the 8 weeks conflict. Naba Muhiddin in Madani, Sudan.
In Colombia, 4 children have been found alive 5 weeks after the plane they were travelling in crashed into thick jungle. A team of 150 soldiers, helped by sniffer dogs, found the 4 siblings alone in the jungle 40 days after the plane they were on came down. Astonishingly, the children, who are 13, 9, 4 and only 1 year old, survived out there in the intervening time. President Gustavo Petro says their rescue has brought great joy to the country.
It was them who achieved a great, exemplary survival. It will become history. These children are today the children of peace and the children of Colombia.
They've been brought to hospital for a checkup and appear to be physically okay, remarkable considering what they've been through. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, what is Boris Johnson up to? The former British Prime Minister resigned from the country's parliament on Friday, a stunning move ahead of a report by a parliamentary committee that was poised to recommend his temporary suspension as a lawmaker due to the illegal parties he held at number 10 Downing Street during COVID-19 lockdowns. Johnson issued a damning resignation statement slamming the government of current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, a fellow member of the Conservative Party, and he hinted that he may seek to return to Parliament and to prominence eventually.
It's almost always a mistake to try to deconstruct the mind or intentions of Boris Johnson.
Matthew Parris is a former Conservative Member of Parliament and leading political columnist in the UK.
3 things you have to remember about Boris are that what he really likes is A, attention, B, chaos, and C, revenge. And he has got attention, chaos, and revenge in spades already. I doubt he's completely made up his mind what he'll do next, but at the moment he'll just be loving the attention and loving the complete chaos that he's created. I've written him off often enough, and I'm not going to make that mistake again.
One British government minister said on Sunday that the world has moved on from Boris Johnson, but the former Prime Minister may disagree. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And the main news again. Former US President Donald Trump has blasted federal indictment charges against him, calling them politically motivated at rallies in North Carolina and Georgia. Fighting is continuing in Sudan after a brief ceasefire that gave people reprieve from 8 weeks of violence. And alive and well, 4 children from the ages of 1 to 13 have been found in Colombia 40 days after a plane crashed into the jungle. There's more from us on Twitter at Feature Story. That's the latest from Feature Story News. Caroline Malone reporting.
In this week's Onion Tips section, 5 easy ways to adapt your deplorable and parasitic existence for the upcoming Armageddon. Tip 1. Focus on preparing your home for any number of disaster situations, which still probably won't take your mind off of your impending death or the myriad mistakes you made in your short, pitiful life. Tip 2. Make sure your linens are clean prior to the upcoming catastrophe, as these are likely the very same sheets on which you will soon be slowly asphyxiated. Tip 3. Take some time off work and spend your last days free from the bonds of the oppressive machine that was just about the only thing giving you a purpose to your otherwise insignificant days. Tip 4. Spend your final waking minutes before the end of the world with your family, knowing full well you'd rather be doing a number of other gratifying yet completely depraved things. Right, sicko? In other news, a smitten foot fetishist thinks these may be the two. A woman and her gay best friend go on another one of their little adventures, and a dead daughter would have wanted a $220 million liability settlement.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live, everybody. Hour number 3 is now underway. If you haven't had a chance to opine, or if you've never opined, give us a call. 603-283-6160. For those of you who don't know what opine means, it means give your opinion.
I'm
Call
good at
in.
that.
You are. That's why you're on this show, as a matter of fact.
I don't care what the topic is. I've got an opinion.
I told the Genesis story of how Captain Kickass did arrive at Free Talk Live, but it was basically, I met Ian Freeman, and he goes, "You look like a guy with opinions. Ever do any radio?" And that was how it all started.
Nice.
In the studio, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
It's Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
Before we go on with the show, I want to say thank you to Patrick Easterday. Patrick is a gold-level amplifier of this show. You can find out all about the amplifier program over at amps.freetalklive.com. Being a gold level means Patrick Easterday gives $10 a month. We only ask for $5, but he gives twice that. Thank you, Patrick. We appreciate you. What does it mean to be an amplifier? Well, AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support, and that's what the money goes to. We're on somewhere around 180 radio stations. We could be on 200, 250, 300 radio stations, not out of the question. We're also on some satellite stations, and we're on the internet as well. And we're always doing all sorts of things to try and promote ourselves, promote the ideas of liberty, peace, prosperity through this radio show. So thank you to Patrick Easterday. We appreciate you. You can become an amplifier at amps.freetalklive.com. All right. So there was a story in the news, and I'm not sure what it's about. Nikki, can you give us the lowdown on this story?
Well, it's about some guy.
Some guy?
Yep, some guy.
Is this what's the source of this?
IndiePulseMusic.com.
Okay.
The title of the article is Captain Kickass. That just sounds like so familiar to me.
Yeah, where have I heard that?
I don't know where I've heard that before.
Do I know this guy?
Anyways, this guy soars to new heights with Independence Day EP, A Heavy Music Revolution.
Nice.
Oh, sounds good. Can't wait to hear it.
All right.
All right.
I'm intrigued so far.
So
I see some logos. What does it say underneath that first logo? I can't read it. It's italicized.
The
She can't speak italicized.
You can't speak italicized?
Sorry, I can't read italicized.
I didn't take italicized in language class.
Darn Gen Z and their inability to read cursive.
Anyways, the appropriately named self-produced musician releases his 3-song EP, Eleutheromania, on July 4th, 2023. I wonder what that means. Oh, good, it tells us. Eleutheromania, a word that describes a passionate and uncompromising desire for freedom. Sounds awesome. I love it. All right, if you reject it, you have to,
you have to
present
provide
your
an
own.
alternative. Yes.
Yep.
No, I'm okay with that. Just mess with you.
It is an apt title for the upcoming EP from heavy metal musician Captain Kickass.
Oh, wow.
The artist, a man of many experiences, including former traveling carnival worker.
That's true.
Long line commercial fisherman.
I did. I fished for a shark. It was fun.
Did you actually reel it in? Like you caught a shark?
Oh, dude, I almost got bit like repeatedly.
Oh, okay.
That's hardcore.
Me and this other guy, there's something in a boat called a tunador. It's just a little side thing. And so the deal is a long line catches many fish on a very long line, and you reel them in one by one. So as the shark's heads are popping out as it's being reeled in, me and another guy had to have these long wooden staves with giant iron hooks on the end and stand at the tunador and then jab the hook into the gills of the shark, and then by only human might lift the shark out of the water through the tunador and onto the boat. And then a third guy who had a giant billy club carved out of a half of a railroad tie would come over and literally just bash the shark on the nose, on his face until it died.
That is heavy metal. That is one of the most metal things I've ever heard.
That is how you catch shark. On a commercial fishing boat.
Now we know.
So, anyway.
So he's also an internet technology consultant, cryptocurrency enthusiast, and nationally syndicated talk radio host.
On what show?
Yeah. Has been making music with independent metal bands for over 20 years.
That's true.
The peak of his musical career so far was opening for punk pioneers The Misfits. Captain, I did not know that. That is radical.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you.
I feel like you're going to have a Wikipedia page after this.
I know.
You should start one. Just so that nobody else can start it for me, right? You should start it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
I feel okay.
I'll throw you $10 or something.
No. It's not about that. It's Wikipedia usually does like the stub or the unverified, or this dude turned out he wasn't popular enough, so we're just going to delete the page.
Yeah. That's probably what'll happen.
Right, and that's
that's a lot of effort for a deleted page.
Understood. That's kind of where I was getting at, and I'm not diminishing the credentials of the captain. Just Wikipedia doesn't seem like the appropriate.
The only credentials I need are my own.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm the captain of myself.
Well, and you share them with us at the beginning of every show as well.
Yeah, and you won't stop. Over and
also
over
true.
and over. So now with his EP release, Captain Kickass is taking his musical career to a new level of evolution. Ooh. The music on Eleutheromania is heavy and anthemic? Anthemic.
Like an anthem.
Okay, anthemic. Yeah, yes. Okay, that makes sense. Featuring chunky guitars and thunderous drums, combined with no-nonsense, poignant lyrics, looking at the ills of modern society.
Oh.
Sounds like he's doing something for America.
Yeah.
Somebody with some writing skills put this together, and it was not me.
I know. The EP is nearly entirely self-produced, with Captain Kickass writing, playing most of the instruments, performing all of the vocals, plus mixing and producing the songs.
That's true, and it's been, oh my God, I can't even tell you guys how much work I've put into just the sound on the EP itself, and on top of that, like all of the other stuff that I got going on. I got a real music video coming out. I've got some other videos for the 2 other songs to accompany it, and all sorts of. I got stickers and T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, this stuff doesn't just sort of happen, right? And I've had zero support. It's all been me doing it. So there you have it.
So now that you've put all this effort into it, as an anarchist, right? What happens if and when this shows up on the free download pirate sites?
Nothing.
Nothing.
In fact,
Cool.
I will put them up there myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's next level.
Because, okay, so what I learned as an independent musician a long ass time ago, I read a book called Guerrilla Marketing for Musicians. And this taught me all sorts of fun stuff. I think I've covered this before. I know I've talked to you about it, but we used to do something called reverse shoplifting.
The shop pudding.
Yeah, so you print up a bunch of CDs as an independent artist. As long as you get the UPC code printed out, the little barcode on the back of it, what you do is you just take one with you into your local music store, your Target or Walmart, whoever's carrying
And
music.
just leave them there?
And yeah, you put it in the appropriate
Yeah.
alphabetized place, and then somebody's going to go looking through it, and eventually, and this actually happened at one store, somebody found it, they took it to the counter to try and buy it, they scanned the UPC code, it wasn't in their system, they had to call somebody who then called me and was like, hey, you know, blah, 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 and then I sent them to my distributor, and they worked out the thing, and were actually able to sell it to the guy, and that's how we got cataloged
Cool.
at a major retailer.
Nice.
So, because you have to jump through an amazing amount of hoops to do that from the front to get your CD at the time into a music store, and the amount of you just don't have enough money as an independent artist to make that happen, or time, or lawyers and paperwork and all that crap. So, if you do it the reverse way, the guerrilla marketing way, and you reverse shoplift, then all of a sudden people come to you and tell you what you need to do in order to make it happen, and you didn't have to pay anybody to do it. It's great.
Was this Tower Records?
Easy Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a local place in the Seattle area. It was a chain. They had several locations. Okay. I think they still have one in the West Seattle area, but they used to have multiple locations.
Nice.
Cool. So the EP Eleuthermania will be released digitally on July 4th, 2023. That's coming up right around the corner, a couple of weeks. And the EP is available now, right now, for pre-order. I'm assuming you can go to CaptainKickass.com to...
keep reading.
Oh, okay. So the EP includes 3 tracks. Track 1, Contaminated Mindware. Track 2, Words. Track 3, It's Time, featuring the Porcupine Liberty Chorus.
Now, for those of you who don't know what the Porcupine Liberty Chorus is, last year at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and at every Pork Fest, there is what's called the Pork Fest photo. And they just invite everybody who's there to come down over near the pavilion on the hill there and sort of stand there and get your photo taken to like represent yourself as one of the people who have attended Pork Fest and made it a success.
Oh, maybe this year they can get RFK in the photo.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
At any rate, I was able to, I just put out a message to all the attendees because there's chats for when you attend these festivals. And so I'm in one of these chats and I said, hey, I'm making a song and I have an idea for a music video and I need a whole bunch of people chanting, "We will not comply." And so I got roughly 2,000 people. There were 3,000 attendees. I don't know how many people were on the hill at the time and how many were actually participating, but I got enough people that it sounds huge. It sounds like a whole bunch of people, "We will not comply," over and over again. And I looped that, and it's the fade out at the end of It's Time is the song that it's at the end of. And so the the Porcupine Liberty Chorus is what is featured on the EP.
Yep. So if I'm sure everybody would love more information about this, and everyone listening to this broadcast right now wants to go pre-order this EP. So if you'd like more information, that can be found on Captain Kickass website, CaptainKickass.com. That is CaptainKickass.com, as well as FreeTalkLive.com, on Twitter, Twitter.com/KickassReverend, and on Facebook, Facebook.com/Reverend Captain Kickass.
Weird. It's weird that like I've had my bands get pressed before, but I've never had just like.
So how did
pressed.
this happen?
So there's
first you got to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Richie Rich. Yeah.
Didn't just fall into your lap.
First, you have to have some art, right? So whether it's music or painting
Step
or
1.
whatever, yeah, have some
creativity.
Art. Then you have to be able to put it into something that consumers might want.
Yeah.
All right. So songs in this case, MP3s is what the thing will be.
I mean, got a little lazy titling track 2, but that's neither here nor there.
Actually, track 2.
Whoa!
Track
got
2.
some critics.
is appropriately named because it's full of words. But I'll get into that. I'm doing a thing on Sunday the 18th at Forkfest, which is the night before the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Just look for the Captain Kick-Ass logo. You'll find me. I'm doing a listing party / music video premiere in RV 47, I believe it is. It's right next to the Free Talk Live site. So to answer your question, how did this come about? I'm not sure, because the press release that I had scheduled isn't even supposed to go out until tomorrow. So the fact that this popped up, is news to me.
Even more impressive.
Even more impressive.
Leaked and got press.
Yeah. It's doing a press release is just something that organizations do. It's an industry standard. Free Talk Live does press releases. Other organizations do press releases. There's a specific format, and you have to have like a list of industry contacts and that kind of a thing. And I've had a list of some of this for going back 20 years, and like I'm surprised some of them are still valid. And then I actually employed a guy who's a PR guy who does press releases, and he was able to take out the ones that don't exist anymore or update them with current information and then add to that as well. I was like, oh, it's out already. That's weird.
You know who else does press releases? The government.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, true,
and
but
then every news outlet reads their press releases verbatim.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, thank you, Nikki. That was nice. I appreciate you. Looks like we have some callers. Let's go to this guy. You're on Free Talk Live. What's your name, please?
Hey, it's Rob.
Hey, Rob. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Oh, is this me, Rob's brother?
You were talking about religion and beliefs and stuff like that, and I believe the same thing like you do. I'm a rock and roll nut. That's my religion.
Well,
rock and roll comes in many different forms. Captain likes heavy metal. I like heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to a lot of the songs that they play on Beer Talk Live. They're excellent.
Now you forked the main chain of the metal religion. Now there's multiple metal religions.
Exactly.
Good job, Rob.
I will tell you that I was on Amazon this morning, and I was looking at, if you go to Captain Kick-Ass, and you see the picture of the album, and then you can listen to a commentary that he does,
On Amazon?
Really?
Yeah. And it's like I listened to the commentary. It's like about 5 minutes long.
Do you remember doing this commentary, Captain?
I do not.
And I thought about it, said,
ChatGPT.
Because I've been listening to Free Talk Live for a long time. And, Captain does a fantastic show
thanks,
on
Rob.
Free Talk Live and Beard Talk Live. But I'll tell you, and this is just my opinion, and listening to that commentary, I'm hearing another show coming out of that.
Might be a whole different guy, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, what was the point? I was looking at Amazon and trying to find this thing that Rob's talking about.
He said it sounds like a whole different soul on the commentary. And if you don't remember doing the commentary, I said it might be a whole different guy.
Yeah, a whole different guy. Because there was no back and forth. He was just, I'm a fan of, like Paul Harvey. He didn't have anybody coming in there. He just told the people like it was. It just came out, it flowed out nicely. And what I'm saying is that commentary that he did, it just flowed out nicely. There was no flaws. There was no and, but, or any of this. It was fantastic. And I'm saying, I'm hearing another show out of that.
So what was it about the commentary specifically that really perked your ears up?
Talking about, the like the fiat currency, and he was talking about, the Dow Jones Industrial Average and how it's, broken and stuff like that, and that people should, walk away from their IRAs and all that kind of stuff. And he makes sense, because all that stuff's all being controlled by the government and the rich people.
I mean, it's pretty awesome that even before I expected it, that it looks like, and I'm cruising through Amazon here. It looks like you can pre-order the entire EP on Amazon already. And it has the appropriate Captain Kick-Ass cover art for the Eleuthermania EP, complete with the explicit lyrics tab in the upper left-hand corner.
I mean, that's important.
That's the only reason to buy it.
If I click on the Luthermania EP, it takes me to a page for the EP, and it says, let's see, purchase options. You can pre-order the album. You can do all sorts of other things, but I don't see anything where it gives any commentary, so I'm not finding what you're talking about, Rob. But either way...
It was you, Captain, that did the commentary. It wasn't about music. You were talking about, the financial system in this country and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, it was
probably
you.
It was probably a clip from either Free Talk Live or Beard Talk Live.
It was probably playing in the background while Rob was perusing Amazon.
If I can find it again, I'll send it to you.
Okay, if I had to take a guess.
But I do have one question.
Yeah.
That EP, is that coming out on an album?
So
it's an EP.
It's an EP, not an album. So an EP just means it's not album length. It's shorter than an album.
Are you like a CD? Is that like a physical copy? No, I think that's what he's asking. Like for a physical copy, right?
I'm an analog guy.
Yeah, so he wants a physical copy, a CD.
I see. Do you own a computer?
Vinyl?
Oh, yeah, I got a computer and stuff like that.
Do you play music
laptop, but
from your computer?
I can get it if I want to, but I just don't. Yeah. I don't like. To me, it sounds too digital to me to listen to music on a computer.
Yeah,
I'm an analog guy. That's who I am. I got my own Sansui and that's albums. That's how I like.
You still rocking the 8-track?
No 8-tracks. No
cassettes?
Reel.
You got cassettes?
No cassettes. I have cassettes, but I don't listen to
What's
them.
your preferred format then? Would you take a CD?
Would I take a CD?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Okay. Would you purchase a CD?
Yeah, I mean, for the right reasons. Like, I would purchase the CD that he's got coming out. I mean, that's going to happen.
So,
but I just...
How much would you pay for a CD of Eleuthermania?
Pardon me?
How much would you pay for a CD of Eleuthermania?
I don't know. Probably $20, $25.
$25? I mean, for that price, I'll burn him a CD, man.
All right, you got yourself a deal.
Send me the digital files, and I'll burn them a CD for $25.
Yeah, I didn't do any analog format because, well, those generally lose money for anybody that's not an established artist. Those are usually something you do as a collector's item. The physical format that I did produce, there's only 30 of them. They're exclusive for Forkfest and Porkfest, and I will have them available for folks to purchase during Forkfest and Porkfest. If they sell out, well, okay. But there's only 30 of them. They're Captain Kick-Ass branded USB stick cards. They're about the size of a credit card, a little bit thicker. It's got a little flip-out USB stick that you just plug into your computer, and on the thing will be the EP, of course, all 3 songs, the music video for its time, and if time and room allow, I'll throw some other extras on there, some other video stuff, maybe some other music stuff. I'm not sure. I've got all sorts of goodies and stuff that I could put on there. We'll see if time and space allow.
Now we're talking about burning a DVD, and I don't want to.
Yeah. But I do hope, Rob, in the future, I do hope to reissue this EP on a vinyl format. I would love to have just myself just own a record of this, and I mean
That's
vinyl,
awesome.
big album kind of thing. So it might be a short run. So you've given me, an idea of what somebody might pay for something like this. So thank you. And when this comes out, I'll certainly let you know.
Yeah, I want the first one off the press.
Yeah, pre-order. Let's go. CaptainKickass.com.
You can start pre-orders, but I would also look in, if it were me, right, look into someplace that will press small vinyl runs, and then you just order the amount of the pre-orders.
Yeah, I already know, these places.
He's
and
got
that
the
kind of
hookup.
thing. It's a question of money, right? I'm not wealthy. People think, you're on the radio.
Well, that's why you do the pre-order
blah blah blah, and all of the time and money that I've put into doing this thing, nobody has sponsored me, and I don't mean our former co-host, nobody on Free Talk Live. I mean,
that was nice of him.
I have not been sponsored really in any way, shape, or form. This is all 100% independent, put together by me, done by me. All the time and money invested is mine.
Well, that's why you do like a pre-order on Kickstarter, right? it will cost me this to order this many. If I get this many pre-orders, I will do a run.
Rob, thank you for the call. I appreciate you. 603-283-6160. I don't like some of that stuff because to me it seems like begging.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'm just from an old school set of mind when it comes to that stuff. More Free Talk Live is coming up, and we'll talk more about all sorts of things. It's the Sunday night edition.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Caroline Malone. Former US President Donald Trump has blasted historic federal indictment charges against him as ridiculous and baseless during his first public appearance since they were unsealed. The indictment charges Trump with defying Justice Department demands that he return classified documents, that he enlisted aides in his efforts to hide the records, and that he even told lawyers that he wanted to defy a subpoena for the materials stored at his home. At rallies in North Carolina and Georgia over the weekend, Trump tried to delegitimize law enforcement officials and portray himself and his supporters as the victims. He spoke in public for the first time since federal charges were filed against him and had his successor, the current President Joe Biden, on his mind.
Biden is trying to jail his leading political opponent, an opponent that's beating him by a lot in the polls, just like they do in Stalinist Russia or Communist China. No different.
Well, President Biden denies any suggestion of being involved. Trump is now due to speak later on Sunday night, then to make his first federal court appearance on Tuesday in Miami, after which he's holding a fundraiser for his 77th birthday on Wednesday. Well, fighting has erupted again in Sudan's capital as a ceasefire came to an end. There's only been a brief pause in violence between the military and paramilitary group RSF since the war began 8 weeks ago. Naba Mohideen is in Sudan.
Fighting renewed in the Sudanese capital Khartoum and in western parts of the country, especially in Al Junaina near the borders with Chad, and in Al Ubaid, which is in Kordofan region, one of the main agricultural and business hubs for Sudan. The situation on the ground is catastrophic. The Sudanese Doctors Committee said the situation is dire, not only in Sudanese capital but also in Al Junaina, where more than 1,000 civilians were killed during the 8 weeks conflict. Naba Mohideen in Madani, Sudan.
In Colombia, 4 children have been found alive 5 weeks after the plane they were travelling in crashed into thick jungle. A team of 150 soldiers, helped by sniffer dogs, found the 4 siblings alone in the jungle 40 days after the plane they were on came down. Astonishingly, the children, who are 13, 9, 4 and only 1 year old, survived out there in the intervening time. President Gustavo Petro says their rescue has brought great joy to the country.
The first news is that, indeed, the indigenous communities participating in the search, along with the Colombian military, have found the 4 children after 40 days. They were alone. It was them who achieved a great exemplary survival. It will become history. These children are today the children of peace and the children of Colombia.
They've been brought to hospital for a checkup and appear to be physically okay, remarkable considering what they've been through.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
And we're back. The final half hour here on the Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's
Richie Rich.
Nikki.
And I am the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Whew.
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
I just wanted to say...
I saw the pointed finger. I'm like, I got to say something.
I know. You got all like, oh my gosh. During the last segments, one of our callers, Rob, had found something by Captain Kickass on Amazon. He was describing it as an audio commentary that he'd never heard before. He said it wasn't Free Talk Live. And I was like, if it's some sort of commentary, it had to have been Free Talk Live. But no, he let me know what it was that he found. And it was me doing an audiobook called The Plague That Must Not Be Questioned by Alu Axelman.
And that's why it sounded like it was somebody else.
Right, because it was, me professionally recording my own voice outside of this studio, which sounds slightly different.
Well, and it's also somebody else's words because he wrote the book.
And somebody else's words, right. But he did say he thought it was fantastic. So thanks for listening, Rob. I know Alu appreciates it, and I do too.
Did he buy the book? Did he buy the audiobook, or was
he must have in order to listen to it?
I mean, there might have been like a little snippet to see,
maybe.
the preview snippet.
Either way.
Okay.
Either way.
Buy the book.
Yeah, libertyblock.com.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's on there.
It is, yeah. Along with a bunch of others. That guy's prolific. He's got, 5, 6 books.
I got them all on my Kindle.
I
think all of them are included in the Kindle Unlimited membership, which I know I was very excited about. No, I'll lose my friends, and I have physical copies of probably all of his books, but,
Speaking of all of that, we already talked about I'm going to do a listening party / video premiere at Fork Fest, and that's coming up next week, Thursday of next week.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah,
that's
right around the corner.
Thursday of this week. Then.
Well, okay, yeah, I guess if Sunday, some people consider Sunday the end of the week. Some people
they're wrong.
At any
Look
rate,
at calendar, people.
You can join us and other liberty-minded voluntarists, except for T. Rich, anarchists, and libertarians from June 15th through the 18th. It's not too late for you to go, Rich.
No, I'm not going
to. You can come.
You come for one day. You come for Sunday of Fork Fest. Come hang out, listen to my EP.
You can come for the giant party I'm throwing for my friends.
Yeah, it's true. It is the 7th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival. And in 2023, we're going back to where it all started the weekend before. So Fork Fest is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then starting Monday the 19th for the next week after that is the Porcupine Freedom Festival. All you have to do to join the fun at Fork Fest is reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground, June 15th through the 18th. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Fork Fest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Fork Fest Forum. Links to those can be found at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there, forkfest.party. All right. We should briefly cover our number 2 story, shouldn't we?
Maybe.
No, we have to.
Well, we already covered 2 stories before it. Now now the number 2 story is the number 3 story.
No, it's still the number 2 story.
All right. Do the number 2 story third.
This from
or fourth or fifth
or whatever.
Yeah, we're not sure. Well, point.
As far as show prep is I don't count the topics that callers bring up.
Yeah.
Look, when I say the number 2 story, I don't necessarily mean it's the second story.
It's
We've just happened to sort of been
story.
throwing it in there.
Yeah, well,
it's just the number 2 story,
Yeah, it makes logical sense to be consistent. You do the number 2 story second. That's why.
But we don't always do that, though. It's not always second.
This from FoxBusiness.com. Poop-themed Jack Daniels toy parody not protected by First Amendment, Burrito Supreme Court says.
Boo!
The Supreme Court rules on lawsuit finds the poop-themed chew toy parody of a Jack Daniels whiskey bottle is not protected by the First Amendment.
It should be.
Yeah,
it should be because it looks completely different.
Anything that is
not completely different. That's the problem.
It looks similar.
It looks like a parody.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of a parody.
Understood. That's the bingo right there.
Let's see. Representative Mike Johnson weighs in on Twitter. Oh wait, no, that's not even about this story. An Arizona company that sells squeaky, chewable dog toys spoofing Jack Daniels whiskey is not protected by the First Amendment, the Supreme Court said Thursday.
Was it like Cocker Spaniel's whiskey or something?
Yep.
In a narrow, unanimous ruling in favor of Jack Daniel's Properties Incorporated, the High Court, they were all stoned, the High Court rejected a lower court's finding that the VIP Products parody dog toy is protected from Jack Daniel's claims of trademark infringement. The case centered on one of dozens of novelty pet products sold by VIP Products, namely Bad Spaniels. It's a vinyl toy shaped like a liquor bottle. The company advertised the toy as silly and fun for everyone, not just dogs, apparently. They do have a picture of it here. It is a take on the Jack Daniel's label.
I mean, I could see, one, I don't really believe in copyright anyways.
Yeah, me neither.
But I could see if it was a spitting image Jack Daniel's bottle as a dog toy. I would get that. But
Right.
this is different. I mean, there's a picture of a dog on it. They've changed so many things. Like the words on it are different.
What's really funny about so they have a picture of the Jack Daniel's bottle next to a picture of this squeaky toy, Bad Spaniels. The Jack Daniel's logo has in the center a circle with old number 7 in the center. The Bad Spaniels, however, has a circle in the middle underneath Bad Spaniels, underneath the dog. So the design is completely different. But it says the old number 2.
Nice.
So
making it the number 2 story.
The number 2 story. That's right.
I guess when I think about copyright, even under their paradigm,
Yeah.
right, there has to be confusion in the marketplace.
And
right?
who is
Like,
confused by this?
that's what I'm
like you look at it
Right.
and you're like, there's a dog. It's a,
It's a squeaky chew toy. It's got no booze in it. It's not going to get me drunk.
Yeah.
It's not going to make me fight people.
Right. This was designed for a dog. This was not designed to, undermine Jack Daniel's copyright
it's just
and
supposed to
make
be
people
funny.
think that the squeaky toy is a product of Jack Daniel's.
Right.
Right. Does Jack Daniel's have their own squeaky toy?
Yeah.
Because if they did,
Doubt
then
it.
if they did, then maybe.
Yeah.
Right. They were.
Even
But
then.
looks too close to
here's
our
the
squeaky
thing.
toy.
But here's the thing. Like, this is how a brand association works, and their marketing team knows this already. They're just lawsuit happy, right?
Yeah.
This is how it works. Somebody goes and buys a dog toy that looks like a Jack Daniel's bottle. They've thought about Jack Daniel's, and they're more likely to go and buy some Jack Daniel's because they've thought about it. So even though it's a parody, it is free advertising for Jack Daniel's.
You would think.
Yeah. Well. The chew toy has the words old. Oh, it says that already. It says, while the Jack Daniel's bottle reveals that it's 40% alcohol by volume, the toy's label playfully indicates it's 43% poo by volume and 100% smelly.
Nice.
VIP says its packaging makes clear this product is not affiliated with Jack Daniel's distillery. Despite this, the beverage company argued that the significant similarities could lead people to believe they are affiliated with the pet toy.
No.
I mean, no, it couldn't.
No, I wouldn't think
Who
that.
looks at that and is like, oh yeah, Jack Daniel's made this?
Well, and
no one.
When something does sponsor something else as sort of brand awareness or a subset of their product offering, it's usually an officially licensed product.
Right.
You will see a brand. This
Yeah.
is endorsed. Official Jack Daniel's dog chew toy.
Yep.
Yeah. This article, this ruling.
I would hope that this information would spawn, much like the whole Bud Light thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like turn people off to Jack Daniels for nonsense. Right? It's not woke, but it's still nonsense.
Yeah.
And they should pay a consumer penalty at the point of
frivolous
purchase.
lawsuit for you're not losing any revenue because of
Yeah.
this dog toy.
Right.
You're not losing any revenue because of this dog toy Jack Daniels. You're not. It's just not happening.
So I'm
And it's
calling for a boycott of Jack Daniels.
I mean, can they have, a monopoly on that size and shape bottle too? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
that's crazy to
I
me.
mean,
It's like,
according to
oh
copyright.
no,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So
When was the last time
size,
you saw anything in a Coca-Cola shaped
yeah, I
bottle?
guess
Right.
So that size and shape bottle, it can't have a black label, but that's
But there's no liquor in it. It's 43%.
Well, that's not
poo.
even the same color. This chew toy is this sort of deep red, almost a burgundy color.
Yeah, it's
Jack
just
Daniels
different.
is brown. Yeah.
it's just completely different. And I think maybe they were upset about it, and maybe Jack Daniels went after this chew toy because they
frivolous.
thought, Well, I think maybe they thought it was an insult.
Here's what happened. Some lawyer was about to get fired from the Jack Daniels team and needed to earn his way back on. And he was like, "Oh, I'll launch a lawsuit against this squeaky toy I found at the dollar store."
Yeah, pathetic.
Yeah, it is pathetic. At any rate, we have
Be better, Jack Daniels.
We have more calls to get to. Let's go to Saeed calling. Saeed, you're on Free Talk Live. Saeed? Saeed. Well, all right. We'll put him back on hold. We'll see if he comes back.
Is this the audio technicalities you were having?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go to this caller. What's your name, please?
Hey, what's up, man? They call me Granny. How are y'all doing tonight?
Hey, Granny, you are on Free Talk Live. What is on your mind?
Not much, man. I was just calling in. I found you guys on Twitch.
Nice.
I've never listened to you guys on terrestrial radio, but I'm really enjoying the fat Aquaman over there and everything that
I'm the
so
Jason
funny.
Momoa you buy on Wish.
It's so funny. One of his nicknames around the studio is the budget Jason Momoa.
There you go.
Well, don't shoot me.
Even
He
my
looks
coworker
trained,
said
dude.
I kind of remind her of Jason Momoa. I'm like, I'll take it.
What'd you say, Granny?
He looks trained. The shirt makes me think that I would be struck with a 9mm for saying that to his face.
He is a certified firearms instructor.
At one point, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, no, like I said, I was just enjoying this, and don't shoot me with a harpoon gun because I know you're well trained. Do you have to have a concealed weapons license for a harpoon gun?
Probably not in New Hampshire.
Although
you don't have the license at all.
Oh, talk about a difficult item to conceal.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Where would you put it?
Where did you hide that?
Right next to his big old hog, dude. I bet he's packing heat. Anyway.
I'll take that as a compliment.
It was supposed to be. Yeah, you hit him once or twice, and no, like I said, I found you guys on Twitch, and I'm also live. I probably should have said that. And like I said, I do prank calls. I think I called you guys a little bit earlier in the week, and I really enjoy the content that you guys are putting out. I really like it. This is not a prank call. So,
awesome.
Well, then we appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
And I have a pretty good sense of humor, so I don't take too kindly to most
sometimes,
insults.
we will get some really good prank calls, like people doing characters or people, doing accents that aren't theirs, and trying to make us believe something that might not, be accurate and all that kind of a thing.
I don't know if Ian necessarily agrees, but my favorite was always Cobra Commander.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cobra Commander. Hold on. Do you guys recognize this one? I reckon I was calling in here to LRNO.
Are you trying to do Major Payne?
Yeah.
It was close. It was close enough to recognize
Carl.
it. Do Jerome.
Oh man,
Work on your Jerome.
So you just stumbled onto us on Twitch? Is that right?
Yeah, I just stumbled onto you. You guys have a call-in number, and like I said, I do a live show where I do a lot of call-ins and whatnot. So,
cool.
And
what's your show?
And
you want to plug it? Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to plug it?
Plug
Not
your show,
really.
dude. Okay, well, all right. No more listeners for you. Then.
Yeah, do you know what? No, I'm taking it back.
Unless it's got a bad word in it that we can't say on actual radio.
Well, you can't. No, I know the call in. I started with like Bubba the Love Sponge. I call other radio shows.
One of my former bands got reviewed by Bubba the Love Sponge. Man, we sent a CD into those guys, and he called my singer a snake charmer.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Did they actually go in and get shot by him, or no?
They shot the whole band at the end of the review. So we didn't go in and appear on the show, but they just reviewed it on the show and insulted us heavily, and we were glad for it.
Nice.
Well, yeah. Like I said, I know Bubba, and wow, that's a fall there. But he's
it was
still
fun,
trying.
man. That's kind of what they do, man. Right?
I think he's talking about Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah, Bubba the Love Sponge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hulk Hogan bangs your wife, and the tape gets out. Everybody's sadder for the occasion.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's twitch.tv/Granny Loves Getting without a G band.
Nice.
Cool.
Are you a musician?
Well, I mean, I was in the past,
Okay.
yeah.
What'd you play?
The mouth.
So you're singing?
Yeah.
What do you stream on your channel?
Mostly pranking calls, y'all right now.
Oh, you're streaming us right now? And we're streaming you too? Wow, we're meta streaming.
it's Inception, dude.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
I like I said, I like to promote a lot of people, and especially if you got a good sense of humor. I call a lot of religious streams and stuff like that, man.
Does Arya stream on Twitch for her gaming?
I think
She
she
might.
does,
Okay.
actually.
It
Yeah.
seems like something she would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See if you can find Arya's Twitch stream
Yeah, you should prank her.
when she's gaming.
Oh, she's got a call-in number. It's a little hard without the call-in number, but
she probably doesn't.
Yeah.
But she does speed
But,
runs and other
again,
things.
Yeah, you can call on Wednesday and prank her.
I liked you guys so much. I made a command in my chat, so hopefully it gets you a little more viewers. Y'all have exponentially more than me at this point, but hey, every little bit helps.
So
You know
you've
what I
got
mean?
like 10.
Yeah, Granny, and maybe you'll get some, some cross promotion from being on this show here tonight, Granny.
Wait, hold on. Jason Momoa is going to come in with 10? I don't have 10. I've got like 700, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, y'all got like 1,000 more than me, but
That was
I'm still
more
out
of a
here.
commentary on how little we had, but sorry.
Oh, okay. Well,
come on, Jason.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, come on, Momoa.
It's always
Well, I
like the
appreciate
terrestrial
it. You
numbers
guys
are pretty good, the downloads are decent, and the streaming numbers like you've got 12 people watching you live right now on Free Talk Live.
Oh, no, I kill y'all on the live views.
Okay, well,
y'all
that's-
just got more subscribers.
Yeah.
That makes sense then.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
Granny,
delete all my streams, too. So because I say wild stuff, of course I know how to deal with FM radio, but
sure.
You going to get into politics later? You worried about getting canceled?
Well, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, so I mean, I get a little wild.
Welcome.
So, but yeah, I mean, no, sometimes the GF word comes out, and I start yelling at people, and
Gluten-free?
eat the poo-poo comes out. You know what I mean? A lot of that.
Yeah, I got you. Granny, thank you so much for the call, man, and feel free to call us again. We're here 7 nights a week, of course. From 7 to 10 is when we're live, East Coast time. And so, if you ever get a hankering, we're here.
All right. Well, your viewer numbers have dropped exponentially since I've been on. So
Hey, thanks, man.
I'm going to get out of
As
here.
an
but yeah,
anarcho-capitalist,
you'll be
there's some market feedback for you.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night, Granny. Peace. That was awesome. Let's move right along. We've got unscreened caller. What's your name, please?
My name's Turd Ferguson.
Hey, Turd. You missed the number
Hey.
2 story, so you're late.
Oh, I apologize for that, but I'm calling in about your copyright story here. And by the way, I don't.
That was the number 2
necessarily
story.
disagree with you. Oh, okay. Well, then I didn't. Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you guys' take on it. I mean, I think that's kind of stupid too. But I mean, you guys often talk about copyright laws and like intellectual property laws in the show, and I think overall I do disagree with you guys about intellectual property. I mean, intellectual property laws help the economy grow. They help technology grow.
Ain't wrong.
And no, it's true. It's true actually. And look, let me just give you an example. Okay.
What it does is it creates an artificial market that is propped up by by the regulations.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So it
And
helps.
and we need it.
helps
and we
certain
need it
people
because
Right.
to the detriment of others.
it helps anyone.
It creates a crony market.
Okay. All right. Look, we've all benefited, and I'm not talking about the vaccine, but there are other miracle drugs like Wellbutrin, for example, that we have all benefited from for a long time. And when a pharmaceutical company, invests hundreds of millions of dollars into designing a medicine and creating a medicine, I don't know what incentivizes them to do that unless there's an intellectual property law that
I feel like you
protects
need to
their
listen to
intellectual
last
property
week's
after
show.
the fact.
Was it last week that Peakless was here?
Yes.
Because I had a similar concern, right, about who would do the research for super lupus, right, in the absence of, funded medicine.
Yeah, government-funded
Right.
research.
And Peakless's response was sufficient, right? So
I don't remember what it was. It had to do
it's
with
basically going to be subsidized by researching other things or using things off-label or off-brand or whatever.
right, and a side function would be the charitable contributions.
Right.
Towards that.
Right. So
Well, then,
fear
well,
not.
look, if there's a market for a medicine for charitable contributions, then let it happen. But
then let it happen.
People aren't doing that. But look, people
'Cause there's
people can
intellectual
do that
property
right now
preventing
if
it.
they wanted to, and they don't.
Right. The laws prevent it
And-
from happening.
Well, okay. Well, that's fine. If you want to have a conversation about removing those sorts of laws, then that's fine. But
those are the intellectual property laws we're trying to remove.
Right.
Well, the intellectual. Well, you can have a law that says people can donate to a company for them to research a medicine.
Yes.
But that's not going to happen for every single medicine on Earth. And there's also ideas that people don't even have right now that these scientists are smart enough to create themselves. And I don't know what incentivizes a company to create a medicine unless they're to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into R&D.
The first mover advantage and trade secrets.
I mean, they're still going to make money, though, even if there's no copyright and someone can kind of, copy their formula. A lot. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is huge, copyright or not.
But there's no guarantee, and what's to stop? I mean, and then you're talking about a bidding down war.
So I don't know this example to be true, but I'm going to use it anyway. Right? The formula for WD-40 is not patented.
Yeah.
Right? It's a trade secret.
That's fine.
Right. But the point is, they've held the formula close to the vest, right? For decades.
I mean, I've never seen a knockoff.
Well, there might be knockoffs, but it's not WD-40.
I've never seen a WD-40 knockoff.
I've never seen one.
You've never seen other lubricants?
I have, but
I mean, yeah, but okay, whatever. Spit on it. Like, okay. I don't know.
Not that. Wrong story.
Wrong story.
All right, sorry guys.
No, but point being is, if they had patented the formula, at some point the patent
to the sports section.
The patent would lapse. Right, and then everyone would have access to the formula because now it's a public formula.
Yeah.
But so they didn't. Right, the way they've maintained that intellectual property is just by not sharing it with anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing: all intellectual property is information. That's all it is. Now, what they've done is they've built a legal framework to prevent information from being shared and used by everyone.
Not just that, they've disallowed people from using their physical property.
Hang on. Go ahead. Say that again, Richie.
I'm saying not only have they disallowed the information from being shared, they have disallowed people from using their own personal physical property in any manner they want because they can't use it in a manner that infringes the property. Right. So if I had the tools to make the drugs, right, and they're my tools, they're my drug, I paid for everything.
Your ingredients,
right? Whatever. Yeah. Like I can't combine those ingredients in a way that resembles Moderna or whatever. Right. But it's my stuff.
Yep.
And I can do what I want with it because that's what freedom and liberty is, baby. And if I want to sell it, I'm selling my physical property.
Yeah, so that's where I have a problem with. I actually don't have a problem with you copying somebody's formula and using it yourself. Where I have a problem with is you taking their intellectual property and then reselling it on a market which you didn't invest the money in the R&D into. And to be honest, I'm not even sure if the companies that actually created these laws care if you yourself actually just go into your attic and synthesize their product either, because that's not worth enough money to them to care. But I do think they care when you start slapping a label on their, and I'm going to use the big pharma example again because it's hundreds of millions of dollars of R&D we're talking here, and you just slap your own name on it and then put it on a shelf for other people to buy at a much cheaper price.
Yeah, why not?
That everyone's just going to buy.
That would be good.
Competition is.
That would be good for the economy.
I'm answering your question.
That would be good for the economy. That would be good for the economy because then consumers get the product at a lower cost.
It wouldn't be good for the economy because if everyone just did that, then nobody would ever invest R&D into creating new
products. That's not true. And thank you for the call tonight, Turd. We're out of time, sadly. Feel free to call us again if you want to have more conversation. Thank you, Richie, Rich. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you to all of our callers and, of course, you, our listeners, for joining us tonight on the Sunday night version of Free Talk Live. Find us over at freetalklive.com in the archives if you missed any part of tonight's show. Thanks and peace.
Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. In addition to being one of the world's first cryptocurrencies, Dash was the first crypto project to have a decentralized autonomous organization that to this day continues to improve and promote Dash. Every month, 10% of the mining rewards go into a treasury. Anyone with one Dash to spend can put forward a proposal to the Dash masternodes to vote on. The masternodes vet the proposals and decide which ones move forward and are funded by the Treasury. In fact, that's exactly how we got this sponsorship. Nowadays, DAOs are plentiful, but Dash paved the way by doing it first, nearly a decade ago. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at Dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit Dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views,